What's up, guys? So in this podcast episode, it's going to be the first one that we're going to do in video form as well. It'll be available on YouTube and everything else. So my friend Josh here
Hello.
has decided to really make his spare bedroom a Fair Shake Football podcasting cave. So we're going to rock with it, and this is kind of what I've been waiting to do, the week 2 review or whatever, reaction, and I've been waiting for this. So Josh and I are going to basically go through the week 2 games and kind of just, give our take on whatever happened in these games. And we're going to probably do, I would say, at least 1 or 2 of these a week. And then I might do some solo YouTube videos in the future from here, because he just called me and said, hey, I want to do a podcasting man cave, basically, and just talk football. And I was like, that sounds like a great idea. And so, yeah, here we are. So it's taken a while. He ordered like all this stuff, and it just kind of came in slowly but surely. But we are officially ready to roll. He really wants me to wear the headphones. I don't like wearing the headphones. It's like an echo in your ear. So I don't know. I guess he likes it, but
I mean, I hear great, so I can't complain.
Yeah, it's just too much hearing, I think, is the issue for me. Too much hearing, but it is what it is. But yeah, these are his Pops football things. I don't know what.
Yeah, obviously, I'm sure some of you know what Funko Pops are, but they're just collectibles, and they're all have sentimental value of things that I like in my life and things that I've grown up on.
He's a huge Brett Favre fan, so he's got, where's Favre at?
Yeah,
Right
Brett Favre and the Rocket Balls. If you know about those, if you know, you know.
AKA Justin Herbert, modern day Favre.
Right. Yeah.
He's a giant.
Or Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I made that comparison before the draft. I said he's more Brett Favre than he is Johnny Manziel.
Yes.
And I had like 3 Twitter followers. And
no disrespect to Johnny Football.
Well, yeah, Johnny was a great college player. That's a perfect example of a college player, a great college player that's not a great professional. I mean, some guys, their skill set doesn't translate. Tim Tebow is also
right.
Exactly,
but I also think his work ethic and his attitude towards the whole thing kind of also diminished
he was
his.
Immediately at the strip club with like the dollars stacked up and
he
was having too much fun.
Yeah, he wasn't studying playbooks. He wasn't, he
definitely didn't give it his best. He basically peaked in college, and that was obviously good enough for him. So.
Right, and he'll even admit, if you go on YouTube and watch, he was on Mike Studd's podcast talking about it, and
he's funny now. He like randomly tweets funny shit.
Yeah, he's trying to be a professional golfer. I don't know if you saw that. Yeah,
I have not.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's just like
Johnny Football.
Johnny what's his name? What's his name from the Cavaliers? He's now playing college golf.
I haven't heard about that.
The guy that
he's a current Cavaliers player, or he used to?
No, he played with LeBron. He was the one that
Kevin Love.
No, he's the one that screwed up at the end of the game and didn't pass LeBron the ball.
J.R. Smith.
J.R. Smith. Yeah, yeah. I was brain farting there, but yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he's playing college golf now.
That's wild.
Incredible.
I wonder if he's going to be able to make those same kind of blunders in golf. He's probably going to be a streaky golfer, like he was a streaky shooter. He would be like have games where he just couldn't miss, and then have other games where he's like 1 of 17, and that was kind of. So if he's on when he's golfing, he might have an absolute. Performance.
To be determined and seen, but yeah, I don't know how great of a golfer he is, but I guess he good enough to make the team.
Well, so he made the team officially, and you think that's because of his golf skills, or is it because like, hey, J.R. Smith is here, kind of thing, a money thing, or?
Yeah, he's officially got
money off his
got NCAA approval to play college golf at Northern Carolina A&T.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's where he.
Carolina A&T?
Huh? Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if that's initially where he went to college.
I would bet not, because he was a really good basketball player. Like he was probably a high level recruit and stuff like that. I would imagine. I I would guess he went to a different college. But, I mean, wait, can you just go back to, like, another – like, is he also taking classes or is he just playing – can you just go in there and play golf? You know what I mean?
Oh, that's right. He originally committed to play basketball at North Carolina A&T.
Oh, okay.
But then he went pro out of high school.
He went pro at high school?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I knew he was a top recruit. So how do you get you're committed to North Carolina A&T and then you're just like, actually, I'm just going to go straight to the league? Like, that's a huge gap in like.
Yeah, I don't. He said
maybe he just wanted to go there.
Says he committed to play college basketball at North Carolina. Oh, Tar Heels.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
After a lengthy recruiting battle, however, after winning co-MVP with Dwight Howard at the 2004 McDonald's All-American game, Smith decided to forego college and declared for the 2004 NBA draft.
What are you going to go, I mean, I get going and playing college, but they're not even allowed to do that anymore now. They have to play 1 year of college or something. Yeah. Imagine LeBron James playing 1 year of college, but like that would just be so crazy.
Yeah, I mean, just dominate the entire
averaged
field.
A triple-double fairly easly. He would, because as a rookie he was good. Anyways, we're getting all into basketball here.
Yeah, no.
I don't even watch basketball anymore. It's just so, I feel like it's other than this year, it's just so predictable. But.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Luka. When Luka plays, like you almost have to watch because it's like if you don't, you're gonna miss something just absolutely incredible.
The one of the times I watched him play, I saw something pretty incredible. He made, I think it was a playoff game. He made a clutch three.
Yeah. Oh well.
It was like
he's made plenty of those, but
10 seconds left or something like that.
He's obviously the face of the NBA now.
Yeah.
I mean, LeBron's on his decline. I mean, you say that, but
he looks
he's exactly
the same though. He's just
it's. I mean, you could chalk it up to the same thing that Tom Brady's doing right now.
Yeah, but dude, Tom Brady has 9 touchdown passes this year.
Yeah.
2 games.
I'm pretty sure that's what I read. That's more than his through 2 games. That's more than his MVP season.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
Yeah, I mean, he played 2 defenses that aren't necessarily supposed to be great in Atlanta and Dallas, but.
Well, Dallas. I mean, any other team week 1 they would have beat.
Oh yeah, they came to play.
Their defense.
I was worried about how they would come out in week 2 against the Chargers after it was basically like a moral victory in week 1.
Yeah,
Tampa prime time. They came in there and no one gave them really even a chance. I mean, I guess people gave them a slight chance, but it was not. People were like, Tampa's obviously going to win. Dallas was winning that game with what, a minute or 2 to go, and it took a Tom Brady last-minute drive to get Tampa to win the game. So we're not all surprised about the last-minute drive by Brady, but I would say most people are surprised that it went that far. Like, the Cowboys had the lead, And even though Brady had 4 touchdown passes, it wasn't like a completely dominant – it wasn't like Dallas' defense played like shit. Like, they actually forced at least 3 – I want to say 2 3-and-outs in the game. For opening drive, 3-and-out, which those were off of the scripted plays, and just they were able to get a stop there, and they were able to get a couple more. They were able to get one more stop that I remember watching where the Bucs were on like the 40-yard, like basically just outside field goal range, and those kinds of stops are big. Like that's what good defenses do. So Justin Herbert, I guess we can talk about that game to start things off. Herbert and had like 83 yards taken off the board.
Penalty. From penalty, I saw that.
It was like the most. I saw somebody tweeted that it was like the most in the NFL or whatever in that week. But Herbert in that game, to me, still played great. But I was impressed with the fact that there was no letdown for Dallas. They came out and came out immediately on fire. Right? They went down, scored. I think they scored a touchdown in their first 2 possessions, almost the first 3. I remember they could have been up. They could have been up like 21-7 or whatever. But Herbert in that game, because he had 83 yards taken off the board, like to me, that showed just he's a legitimate borderline elite player in year 2. you know?
Yeah, I mean, he is definitely on a sharp incline.
Yeah, we were talking
to dominate the league.
And I was like,
and he's got a great cast around him.
Yeah,
I mean,
now they've rebuilt. Tom Telesco, the GM there, is one of my favorite GMs in football because he just quietly accumulates talent, like always, you know. And what they're doing with Bulaga at right tackle and the kid Rashawn Slater at left tackle, and Slater looks really good.
Yeah,
you know, for a rookie especially, you know, that they're just immediately like they're putting together a pretty good. I mean, they have weapons. They have an offensive line. They have, I think, a defense that's going to get better as the year goes on. Like maybe they're not, you know, coming out of the blocks on fire, but they're going to get better. They have talent there. So, and they're built similar to the Chiefs and the Buccaneers in that they have an offense that's going to score a lot of points. They'll probably be playing ahead in a lot of weeks, and they have a pass rush they can get after you. You know, it's kind of like one of those same situations where, you know, maybe they don't have the run defense that Tampa has, but they have the same kind of formula where if you're going to be a team that scores close to 30 points a game, you need to be able to stop the pass. You know, it's very important to be able to stop the opposing team's pass, and the best way to do that, contrary to popular belief, is to rush the passer, right? Be able to consistently get pressure, and Bosa, we know, can do that. I was surprised they let Melvin Ingram go because I believe he's
where did he go?
11 pressures. He went to Pittsburgh, and he signed like late for nothing. So there's a chance, and I think that right now, statistically, after 2 games, he's significantly outperforming Bud Dupree, who went to Tennessee for $16+ million a year, and Melvin Ingram was basically signed for, you know, not much. Let me just look. He's not getting paid very much.
My boy Bud. I don't know if
yeah,
you remember.
Yeah, our franchise back in the day. Yeah, Melvin Ingram, $4 million, you know, and basically 2.9 in signing bonus. So he's getting his money basically guaranteed, but $4 million to save over $12 million a year and get Melvin Ingram versus Bud Dupree coming off an injury.
Right.
I would much prefer that because even though he didn't do a ton last year, he still, in my opinion, can play, and he's showing that so far this year. So, but yeah, Justin Herbert, man, 337 yards week 1, 338 week 2, and the things he can do in terms of extending the play and the throws he can make, they're that combination, and combined with a guy that doesn't strike me as a Brett Favre in that he is gonna throw a lot of interceptions.
Right.
I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's going to, for the most part, protect the football. I know so far this season, I think he's thrown already 3 interceptions here. But like I said, I don't see him as a guy that's going to continually do that. And he played against Washington and then a Dallas defense that is somehow not bad. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they don't look bad. I like Micah Parsons a lot as an edge rusher. I think that's I think that's a better spot for him, and then allow him to do some things where he drops back in coverage every now and then just from the edge spot. I think that's the Bruce Irvin role in that defense is something that I'm a big fan of if they're using that way, because as a he's never going to be a Luke Kuechly inside linebacker, in my opinion, just from the instinct standpoint. And, you know, he has
well, you also can't compare him to Luke Kuechly, who's arguably one of the best linebackers ever
but
played.
What I mean is, like, that's what, you know, when you're drafted, a lot of people thought he was going to go top 10, and he was primarily being talked about as an off-ball linebacker, you know, so that was kind of like you're hoping, not obviously for Luke Kuechly, but that'd be a bit, you know, ambitious, but you're hoping for like a legitimate, you know, high-level player, like a guy Roquan Smith is now becoming, you know, you're hoping for one of the better, Darius Leonard, you're hoping for that kind of guy. And now in week 2, because of the Marcus Lawrence injury or whatever, he was lining up at edge and playing as a, you know, defensive end. So that's pretty cool, and he's good. I think he caused some. I think he even had a sack. So definitely gets pressures from that. You know, in that role, he's just too much of a freak. You know, 250 pounds, but he's very strong and he's explosive as hell. Yeah, he's gonna be. especially because he plays for Dallas, he'll be up there with Rookie of the Year. You know,
Right.
if he continues to fill up the stat sheet. But
Well, speaking of the Cowboys, how we can go ahead and talk about the running back situation we got going on here.
yeah, man, I just think that, and I said this last year, so a lot of people were like, "Dude, isn't that just matchup based?" That Tony, and no, like I thought this coming into the season.
Well, even last year, Tony Pollard looked good. He's
looked
only
like a bit better. He's at least, if you don't think he's better than Zeke, I'm okay with that. But you would have to admit that he's at least more explosive.
Yes,
you know
100% more explosive.
Clearly a more explosive runner. He can, Zeke's a good receiving back, and Zeke is phenomenal in pass protection. But when you talk about the things that Zeke's better than him at, and very important, pass protection, yes, but it's more of like a situational type player. You know what I mean? It's not like a true bell cow back, because he can't – there are just plays that he can't make. Maybe it's anymore. I don't know if that's the right word, but he just can't always – like runs that could go for 30, 40 yards, with Zeke, they're going for 16, 18 yards.
Yeah.
Once he just doesn't have that extra gear that Tony Pollard
I mean, he's
has.
obviously still a great back, and, put him on any other team, and he's,
he's
a
good,
productive running back.
I think that after 2 games, it's hard to argue the fact that Tony Pollard has basically cemented himself for at least a 40 to 45% of the workload.
Yeah, and what you shared, I guess it was either today or yesterday, that someone had tweeted, is like you drafted the RB2 in the first round of fantasy drafts.
Yeah, the Dallas's second best running back was drafted in the first round.
I mean, I even have him. I drafted him, I think, 5th overall. But
in our league?
No, not in our league. In another league. Obviously, I'm in 6. So, but I cut it down from 9 last year. But
oh my God.
I also took Tony Pollard as my handcuff. So
yeah, and now maybe you took your handcuff in the first round.
Yeah, well,
but
that's something I learned the hard way, is once you have an elite back or a great back that you draft super early in fantasy drafts, you always get your handcuff.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just it's
I
fantasy
agree.
101.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, plus you can get the handcuffs usually, unless you're Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt.
Right.
You can get the handcuff late.
Yeah, like Dalvin
rounds,
and
Madison, whoever you use the handcuff there.
And Chubba. I have Chubba in a league, or Chubba.
Yeah.
In a league with that I have Christian.
Yeah. Christian is just the bell cow. Like,
yeah, I mean,
of all guys to talk about as a bell
he had
cow,
an injury scare.
Yeah.
On Sunday.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
I'm watching every game.
And luckily, I was like, oh well, I got Chuba, but
yeah,
he ended up coming back in the game. So
but Chuba won't be a Christian McCaffrey. Like,
well, yeah,
he won't be like, the weird thing that.
And he was what, Oklahoma State?
Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
Matt Rule called him a dominant player. He's like, he's not a good player. He's a dominant player. I just thought it was very interesting that he came out in that using that word is just a weird, weird thing to do, in my opinion, because if he was so dominant, why'd you take him? Why not take him in the second round? You know what I mean? Like, what? Why wait until round 4? But I don't know.
Talk more on the mic there, big dog.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, anyways, Cowboys look great. I was very impressed with their resiliency.
Mm-hmm.
The Chargers, I think, will be fine, and the AFC West is going to be one hell of a division. Like Chargers, the 2-0 Raiders, the 1-1 Chiefs. Who am I forgetting? Chargers, Chiefs.
The Cardinals?
No.
The
Cardinals in the AFC. I don't know. I'm blanking on that. But anyways, they're
NFC.
all 4 good teams. Broncos.
Yeah.
Jesus. But yeah,
it's late.
2-0 Broncos, 2-0 Raiders, and then the 1-1 Chargers, 1-1 Chiefs. That's crazy. But something tells me that division is kind of like the AFC's version of the NFC's. Yeah, the NFC West with the Cardinals and Seahawks and Niners and Rams. Yeah, so that's pretty wild. There's a train going by. It's all good.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Anyways, you can't?
No, I can.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it doesn't matter. But you guys can deal with the train for a second. But anyway, so yeah, I think that both those teams, the Cowboys and Chargers, are have a pretty much a bright future. I think Dallas is going to be in this thing in the NFC East until the end of it. I mean, if they don't run away with it, I could see them.
Yeah, I was confused coming into the season. Everyone was high on Washington. Obviously,
was that defense?
Yeah, but I mean, also, I don't know. I didn't buy into it. I mean, they have Scary Terry, obviously.
Yeah, he's a stud. Gibson's a stud.
He's a stud, but is he elite stud?
He's not. You can't call him elite yet, but he's approaching that if he does what I drafted him to do.
Yeah, I mean, he when we went to the Senior Bowl that year, he showed out a little bit, right?
I was a huge fan of him, yeah. And I said he looked like a legit running back because that was the only reason he fell to the top of the third round, which is far earlier, by the way, than most of the analysts were saying he would go. They're like, oh, he's a day 3 guy, super late. And and I was like, that guy is a legitimate starting running back. And I had a first-round grade on him initially when I first watched his tape, and then I kind of kept, I think, all the chatter about him being a day 3 potential UDFA. I saw some people saying some blue check marks saying stuff like that, and then I took him from a first rounder. I think dropped him to a second, but the guy ran 4.39 too. It's he's a 230-pound dude that played receiver and running back in college,
right?
And then we saw him at the Senior Bowl show that he could play run. He looked like a natural running back. And now you're seeing that. I mean, immediately in his rookie season, comes out and has a really strong, especially strong finish to the rookie year. He missed a few games. That's kind of the thing with him is you worry about is he going to be a guy that's dinged up all the time, and but so far so good. This year, I just think that he's not necessarily lighting it up right now, but I think he'll be fine. I think he's approaching elite. So yeah, you said you weren't buying in on Washington being that team in the NFC.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they had Fitzmagic to start the season.
Yeah,
but
yeah, that didn't last long. We had 4 passes and it was done. But I mean, look, Heineke, that might have been a blessing in disguise. Who knows? Because Fitzpatrick is older and Taylor Heineke looks pretty freaking good, man. He looks like a legitimate NFL starting quarterback, and he's got a quick release. He's pretty mobile. He's got a decently strong arm. Yeah, he's solid. So who knows? But Ron Rivera said something that I think was very honest. That's why I love Rivera. He's so honest. He said, and this is why remember in our league, I always tell this story. I drafted Christian McCaffrey 6th overall that year, and Eric he commented or whatever and was reaching for McCaffrey, and I go, I stole him because I really felt like that. And the reason why is because as a Panther fan, Ron Rivera was I don't see
that was
why,
incredible.
Yeah, he's I don't see why we're not going to give Christian 25 to 30 carries a game. He was guys, did you watch him at Stanford? And so that combined with how he looked in the preseason that year, I was I had such a strong conviction on him, and I was I know he's going to be there at 6 overall. And it was when his ADP was early 2nd round that year, because Augie was damn it, I was gonna take him at 11 or 12, and Augie thought for sure he'd be there,
right?
And I'm no, he won't be there.
Well, when you got Christian McCaffrey, and then you have a diehard Panther fan, I mean, he wasn't falling any further than when you took him at 6.
If I wasn't a Panther fan, I wouldn't have known Ron Rivera so well, and then I wouldn't have been able to kind of put that together, but it just was a perfect storm. So yeah, he finished, I think, as the top running back in fantasy.
Yeah, he went nuts.
Yeah. But yeah, so anyways, I guess you want to talk about this Seahawks-Titans game?
Yeah.
We've got the schedule right here, so we're pointing at. But Seattle was in complete control until they weren't. And that's the thing about that division. You can't afford to lose games at all because the Rams are now 2-0. It's the Rams have the Bucs this week, which I'm really excited about. But the Rams are 2-0. The Cardinals are 2-0, and the Niners are 2-0. Wait,
the Cardinals are barely 2-0.
Yeah, so there's 3 2-0 teams in that division. Am I nuts? Yeah, that's right. 3 2-0 teams in that division,
and then the Niners have the Pack this week. That's gonna be a great game.
That is gonna be a good game. I'm really interested to see what the Niners defense looks like. But yeah, so Seattle lost the game that they shouldn't have lost. This could be one of those reasons.
Well, here it comes down to Derrick Henry again.
He had like more yards.
He makes me so mad because at the beginning of the game, he just runs in the walls, hardly does anything, and then he just gets better and better and better as the game goes on. Every game, dude. Every year, and it's like even the first half of his career, he was okay. Right. I don't know what happened. I don't know. They should drug test him. I mean, honestly.
No, don't drug test him. Let him keep doing his thing.
He's an animal. He's an absolute freak.
Dude, a 250-pound running back going 99
And I was playing
yards
against him in fantasy this week. He put up damn near 50 points. Yeah. And I'm like, will this game end? And he freaking broke that, 46-yard run. I mean, just an absolute monster.
I saw a stat, I think it was PFF that tweeted this out, and they were like, they posted the leading rushers of the week. And the first leading rusher was Derrick Henry. The second leading rusher was Derrick Henry in yards after contact alone. And then it was Dalvin Cook, I think. So it was like he had all that after contact. That's just the epitome of like will not be denied and just kept running. This was like, no, we need to win this game. We don't want to go to 0-2.
Yeah, we'll just feed him the rock.
I'm just not going to go down when.
Well, it's like when you see him run, he'll take off, and it looks like the defenders are going to catch him. Yeah. But they don't. They don't like his size and his speed. It just doesn't make any sense.
It's not like anything we've ever seen before. No, so honestly, like it's you think about the big backs like Jerome Bettis was not that. You know what I mean?
It's just
and that's I think
he's
Jerome
a freak of nature. He's an absolute freak of nature.
But you were saying he started off like rocky, and then he had that one game. I think he talked to Eddie George, who again a big back was not like this. And then he had that game on against Jacksonville, Thursday Night Football, and I think I actually benched him in that game. I had him, I benched him, and I was just tired of it. Tough. And then he just went completely insane.
Tough loss. I'm assuming you lost that game.
Oh yeah, he had so many points. I would have won very comfortably with him on my team, but I benched him. It is what it is. You take the win on Christian McCaffrey, you got to take some losses on the Derrick Henry sometimes.
I mean,
but like honestly, my opinion of him in fantasy, real quick, I think that I would sell high on him. I should have added him into my.
I mean, I passed on him.
Can this sustain over the entire season?
You would think not, but like, I think
it's just so brutal, physically demanding.
But think about it. His career, he started slow. In the games, he started slow. Just imagine what's going to happen with this season. If he's starting slow right now, obviously he had almost 50 points. So.
Right. He started slow for like week 1, and then half of whatever it was of week 2, and then he just decided to go completely.
Yeah, and it's like you watch him run, and like beginning of the game, he's just like running into walls, getting 3-4 yards.
Yeah, it's not like their offensive line is moving.
Yeah. And maybe I guess it's just he's so much stronger than everybody else. Everyone just gets tired at the end of the game, and he doesn't tire out ever.
Yeah, he's just
so it almost looks like he's getting better, but at the end of the day, I think everyone else is just getting tired.
Yeah, and he's just you have to bring everything you have to tackle that guy. Yes. 250 is probably probably bigger than 250. He's probably 260. He's like to me, Cam Newton was like 260 in his for most of his career. He's probably still 260 now, but I feel like he's bigger than Cam. Like I feel like if you stay in the next game, he's gonna be a lot thicker. You know what I mean? Not as tall. He's a couple inches shorter, 2 or 3 inches shorter, but a freak of nature. But I just get afraid of that style for another year now because he's had back-to-back very high volume years where he touched the ball a whole bunch, and that same style is obviously what he does. So he's taken a lot of punishment. He's given maybe more punishment, but can that sustain for an entire 2021 season?
Well, the Titans website has him listed at 6'3", 247.
Yeah, bullshit.
I mean,
just because he's a few inches shorter than Cam, I guess. I just feel like he's a lot thicker than Cam, so I feel, whatever. But anyways, tough loss for Seattle. Great win for Tennessee because that was a situation where they didn't have to win because the Colts are also 0-2. The Houston Texans are in first place technically in the NFC or AFC North or AFC South. Excuse me. And but yeah. So they're still right in the thick of it. Tennessee, I think now is Houston has the tiebreaker over Tennessee because they won a game in division.
Yeah.
Against Jacksonville week 1. But the point is, going 0-2 is not something you want to do. Now they're a game ahead of the Colts, who they probably view as their real competition for that division. And it was a great win in Seattle. Like that, those are the types of wins especially when you're down like that, you come back and you steal it. That really catapults teams to kind of because this game is all about momentum. Which team has the most momentum is often going to be which team wins the game, right? Unless you have just a guy like Patrick Mahomes that's just equal.
And it also, I feel like it also comes down to coaching. I mean, obviously, Mike Vrabel's an excellent coach. Yeah. So I feel like
he is. He keeps them. He has that just blue chip championship pedigree to him that his team, you can just see their personality.
Yeah, he never thinks they're out of it. He never looks bored out there.
Yeah.
He's always got something dialed up. I mean, obviously, just hand the fucking rock off to Derrick Henry and let him
260-pound monster. He'll just, if there's nothing there, he'll just eventually start throwing grown men to the ground and just,
like Josh Norman.
Yeah. Oh my God, poor Josh Norman just got complete. But did you see Naji Harris do that last week or this past week?
Yeah, we'll get to that. I was super high on him this year.
So let's talk real quick about the Falcons-Bucks. We're just going to go from bottom to top here on our list. But, this one, we'll just keep it short and sweet, I think.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, going into this game, we knew the Bucks were going to absolutely crush them. Well,
just think about this. Tom Brady threw 5 touchdowns, and they had 2 pick sixes.
And he had, 230 yards? Nothing crazy?
He had, 300-something yards. Yeah. I think he had I think he had over 300.
Are you sure?
No, but I think. Let me. You got it?
I mean, I can pull it up. Let's see here. I'm pretty sure he had
I think he had over 3. And I think you're thinking of the Dallas game. Oh, you know what? You might be right. I might have him flopped.
No, Dallas game, he went nuts.
Dallas game, he had 4 touchdowns and then 5 in this one.
276 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Okay. Yeah, 5 touchdowns. So, anyways, Brady scored 5 touchdowns, and they had 2 pick sixes. Just think about how ridiculous that sounds. How many points did they score? 48 or something? 45, whatever.
48-25.
Yeah, so that's pretty insane. And Atlanta, at least if you're a Falcons fan that has any type of optimism held out for this season, you can look at it and say the offense played better, right? The offense got in the groove. And
I just, Matt Ryan is on decline, obviously. I mean, Julio's gone. Yeah. They have no run game.
Pitts looked better this week, the rookie tight end.
Yeah, of course. I don't know. He's probably their best playmaker outside of Calvin Ridley.
Yeah. Mike Davis is good. I really like Cordero Patterson.
But if you think about Mike Davis, he's been a career backup. And all of a sudden they thrust him into this starting role.
Well, because he started all last year for Christian McCaffrey, So that kind of gave teams a look at him. Because here's the thing about him. I think he was a 4th-round pick of the 49ers a few years ago. But he was always, fans were super excited to watch him play. E was so excited to watch him play every year, and then he would get hurt.
Right.
So he just had a lot of injuries, bad luck early in his career, but he's still, I think he's 27, 28 years old.
I just think, obviously, they got a great look at him last year, but he's essentially just a placeholder, Yeah. They know he's a durable back, and
they didn't pay him crazy amount of money, so they just needed a big, strong, physical. It's a poor man's Derrick Henry, essentially. Yeah. That's what they wanted from that. The Tennessee coach is now there, Arthur Smith. So, Atlanta, at least the offense looked a little better because the Buccaneers are, don't forget, they're a very good defense as well. I know 2 pick sixes doesn't, exactly give you a ton of confidence if that's the thing that we're holding out optimism for. But you played the Bucs, and they're just good. The pass rush got after Brady. I think he was sacked 2 or 3 times. So that's.
I mean, they obviously and they played him.
You got to try and find positives for
Atlanta. They did play him in Tampa, so going into that game, obviously, I think Atlanta is probably going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL this year.
Yeah, that's a safe assessment, I think. But I do want to talk about Antonio Brown. Just last week or week 1, I was like, what if he's going to lead the Bucs in receiving this year and all this and that? And then I think he had 1 catch for 11 yards.
Right, but you could say the same. I just think they got so many weapons. It's
that's the problem.
There's going to be weeks where some of them go off and some of them don't. Last week, Mike Evans didn't do shit.
And then he had 2 touchdowns.
And he went,
so high.
Mike Evans-esque.
I don't know if I included Mike Evans in my podcast, but so high on Mike Evans because it's gonna be like this all year. There's gonna be weeks where he's got
3 catches for 35 yards,
and that might be on the higher end of what his floor is because I think his floor is like 1 for 10 or his floor is a donut. His floor is legitimately a donut. Like that's
potentially depending on who the cornerback he is matched up against.
Yeah, because if you're going to put somebody like, let's say, Jalen Ramsey on him, which we'll see next week probably, then
Most
Brady's
likely.
just not going to – why would he try that?
Right. Brady,
he's going to go to all the other great players they
like
have.
Gronk.
Antonio Brown this week, DFS, if his value dips in anything substantial, Antonio Brown this week against the Rams because it'll be Evans and then Godwin who will be their, primarily – like Jalen Ramsey's likely going to cover Evans, right? Yeah. Or at the, maybe some Godwin as well. I don't think he'll cover AB. So I think AB could be the one. It could be his turn again, basically. This week. But I think Godwin is going to be the more kind of like consistent.
But like if AB was the AB that he was in the Pittsburgh days, like he'd be so mad that he had such a shitty game.
Yeah,
but
he just has such a good relationship with Tom Brady. Yeah. He doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, I know. And it's cool he's obviously a changed man, but like those guys that want the ball all the time, like, dude, and they don't get the ball.
He is still maybe an elite player. Like he's their third option. He's still, but like he's their third. He's really their 2A/B.
He might even be their fourth option behind Gronk, Evans, and Godwin.
Oh, so high on Gronk, dude. Gronk is look.
Have you been watching the Monday Night Football with Peyton and Eli?
No.
Oh my God.
Just a little bit, yeah.
It's amazing. Like they had Gronk on as a guest last night, and they were asking him questions, and then I think it was either Peyton. It might have been Eli. I think it was Peyton though. And he was like, "Do you even watch film?" And he's like, "No, I just run by guys." Like literally.
I saw that he said that.
Yeah, it is literally zero film watching. I mean, at this stage of his career,
he's like,
why does it matter to me?
Just tell me what to do, Tommy.
Yeah. I mean, he's a 3-time Super Bowl champion. I mean, he's the greatest.
He's the greatest tight end ever. I think he is. He's the
better
greatest
than
one.
Tony Gonzalez, I guess. Yeah. I mean, obviously,
in his prime, dude, he was just totally different. Like he was just. You couldn't even tackle him. He was like Derrick Henry.
Well, we thought he was done last year. At the beginning of the year, he didn't do shit. He looked slow, and then he came on at the end of the year.
Maybe it's that TB12 diet, man. I need to get on that.
I mean, possibly we can look into it. I'm on a diet myself right now, so
I kind of eat like that, anyways. I think he just eats meat, and he basically just eats real foods. That's pretty much what I do.
He eats avocado ice cream. Like, who does that? I mean,
and he probably doesn't do it very often.
I mean. Who knows? I'm pretty sure it's in his TB12 diet plan.
Yeah, that's
sells to the masses.
That's to marketability and shit like that, I think.
But who just sits around eating avocado besides E? Shout out to E.
Yeah, I like avocado, but I wouldn't really be interested in the ice cream.
I mean, I'll eat avocado because I know it's good for me, but I mean, it's the most bland taste ever.
Yeah, I like it with like a combination of that and jalapenos with some. Steak or something like that. Any kind of meat.
Steak?
Absolutely.
Avocado and steak. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I might have to try that.
Yeah, with jalapeno. Anyways.
Is this a medium rare?
Medium rare. Okay. Closer to rare on this.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Rare. Yeah.
I mean, I'm.
Gotta be for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm medium, but I'll eat medium rare depending on the cut. Like, I got, so one time I went out to eat a fancy restaurant, and I got a filet mignon, 8 ounce or 6 ounce, some ridiculous. Probably paid like $70 for it, but I got a medium rare, and it was just rare. Like it was disgusting because the cut was so thick. It was like I don't eat medium rare. I used to eat medium well. Okay, so I've come a long way.
Yeah, I know. That's why I thought you were gonna say well after that. I was
no,
like,
absolutely not. No. Like I've never.
I'm okay with medium. I think that's my aunt is like
medium's good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with medium. Like if it's a thinner cut, like medium rare for sure, because it's more cooked than a fat filet mignon that was this.
Big
it was disgusting.
Give it to me.
I couldn't even eat it. I was like, I can't eat this shit.
For my sister's birthday, early September, we went out to eat at some steakhouse in Dallas, and
you remember the name of it?
I don't remember.
Was it a fancy one?
Yeah.
Nick and Sam's?
No, it was
Bob's.
maybe. Might have been Bob's.
Bob's is good.
It might have been Bob's, but I ordered my ribeye rare, or maybe it was a New York strip, one of the two. I ordered it rare, and my sister did too. And my aunt, she ordered it well, or whatever she got, well done. And she was just like, I don't care. Leave me alone. Because she was telling the waiter, because everybody's just like,
stuck in her ways.
You can't do that with this quality meat. And she's like, I don't care.
I don't give a shit.
Don't try it. It just like, some people, just the blood freaks them out, and they just don't want to.
But is it really blood, or is it?
It's blood, yeah. It's okay. It's
I mean,
healthy for you. You know, that's where all the nutrients are. The problem eating it well done is there's no nutritional benefit.
And it's like you
killed everything. You know, you gotta have some aliveness.
Yeah, and it takes you 30 minutes to chew one piece.
Yeah,
because you're like everyone else is done. They're already on their way home, and you're halfway through your steak, still sitting at the table.
The people that use A1 sauce, and if you use A1 sauce, I don't mean this disrespectfully, but you just stop and just get your steaks cooked medium rare.
Right. I mean, if it's marinated in the right, dude,
I
marinade.
eat it with just, when I cook it at home, I eat
just
medium
some
rare,
butter,
just salt and butter. Yeah.
I mean, I like A1 sauce. I don't eat it hardly anymore. I used to as a kid. Yeah. I mean, it's really salty and obviously it's really good.
It's probably not good for you though.
Probably not.
Salt and a well-cooked steak and maybe some butter or bacon fat or whatever, bacon grease. That's how I eat mine at home, and I do it, I'd say, at least once a week. I eat a big fat steak.
Cooking everything I've learned over the last couple of years is cooking it in bacon grease is phenomenal. Like,
absolutely.
Before you came over here and I made that.
Well, it's also because I eat bacon and eggs almost every morning. Either me or my son does. So I have bacon grease, just constantly stacked up, and I got it in the fridge, and I just, pop it on there, and so it's like a free and healthy. What do you call it? Something to cook in.
Marinade. Yeah. I mean, like, I've been cooking eggs lately, and I cook the bacon first, obviously. So I have this bacon grease, and usually I just, pour it into a cup and just like let it solidify. And then once the cup's full of solidified bacon grease, I just throw it away, because obviously I don't want to throw it down the drain.
Give it to me.
Well, yeah, I mean,
you can just all you do is just take a little spoonful.
Right, but growing up, like, I didn't hardly ever cook. I thought it was just trash, Oh, no. But like, I don't want to throw it away anymore, so like, I've been using it, with my eggs. Like, I cook my eggs with the bacon grease.
It's healthy for you, contrary to popular belief, but I think more people are kind of coming around to that. But it also tastes really good. Like, just having the bacon grease.
It adds flavor.
Yeah. Anyways,
good flavor.
Getting off topic here, but so yeah, let's talk about. So I mean, the Bucs-Falcons game, it is what it is. Tampa 2-0, going to LA this week. Both the Tampa
Super Bowl favorites
have been at home, by the way. It's been both in Tampa wins. So there are teams like the 49ers that won both games on the road.
Well, you remember that last year that Brady was in New England, they had like freaking 6 home games in their like first 7 games.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they were going nuts. Remember their defense? I had them in fantasy. They were putting up 30 points every week.
Yeah, it was nuts.
And then the second half of the year, they kind of fell off.
Remember later that year when they lost in the playoffs against Tennessee, and everybody said Brady was done?
Yes. Oh, of course. I think everybody remembers that.
9 touchdowns. He's the fantasy.
Yeah, shout out to Max Kellerman.
He's the second.
Garbage.
He's the second highest scoring player in fantasy. Like, it's Kyler Murray 1, Tom Brady 2.
Yes.
Insane. Anyways.
Kyler Murray. Speaking of, Vikings at Cardinals. So early MVP candidate?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, my God. Like, obviously, I am a diehard Longhorn fan. I went to school there. I mean, we lived in Austin in 2010 when we were on top of the world. UT was the #1 party school in the America then. I mean, it was just crazy times going from Vince Young and then to Colt McCoy.
It was amazing. Another one, great college player.
Another him and VY, obviously.
Yeah. But VY had a moment, I should say, in the pros.
Yeah, but then he just didn't want to study, and that's what you got to do in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, man. It's a very complex freaking thing, so you really have to, you have to study, but especially at the quarterback position, because you got to know what everyone's doing, not just, what's my job, that kind of thing. So,
well,
but yes, to answer your question, I think Kyler Murray is absolutely an MVP.
Yeah.
If you were going to make one right now, it'd be him.
Well, back to my point, like, I
hate him.
I despise him.
Yeah.
I like
that little bastard.
He's just like he's like as tall as I am, 5'8", 5'9" on a good day, 5'9", in cowboy boots. And he's just out there running around like a little rat, and he's just making plays. Like,
dude, he's so good in the improv situations. Like, he's like Mahomes in that regard.
Yes, 100%.
Except for he's more,
and he's throwing it unorthodox off one foot, throwing it back across his body, back across the field.
If there's ever a time where, and it may be this year, it may be right now. I haven't watched his film this year, but if there's ever a time where he puts it all together as a pocket passer, like as a legitimate, consistent, high-level pocket passer, combined with everything else he can do, he's going to be a top 5 quarterback in the league.
Right, but I just don't think that would he'll ever just become a pure pocket passer. I think what makes Kyler Murray great is the fact that he can get outside the pocket and make those plays like Mahomes can.
Yeah, no. I'm just saying if he can also be a high-level pocket passer, like, so not
just add that basically to his arsenal.
Because last year he did most of his almost all of his damage with his legs or improvising, creating things at kind of on the run, scrambling around, that kind of stuff. Like, it was, as a pocket passer, he didn't do a ton in terms of consistently like passing the ball. He went to D-Hop, and that was just, it was either go to D-Hop, improvise, create something on your own, or run. What do you have, like 11 rushing touchdowns, 10 rushing touchdowns? Something crazy. But this year he's got a rushing touchdown in each game, and I think he's got like 5 carries for 20 yards in each game. Something in close to that.
I don't even.
So he hasn't been, asked to run a whole bunch. I like what they have at the running back position with Chase Edmonds, who's extremely efficient right now, and James Conner, who's just like, you need the big, power back or whatever, and that's kind of his role. Yeah, man, I think the Cardinals, look, I'm not ready to get behind them and say, like, they're a legit elite team or anything like that, or Super Bowl contender.
Any given Sunday, they're,
They can beat anybody on any given Sunday, absolutely. And they really could. Like, if they play their best versus anybody else's best, it's going to be close.
Yeah.
We saw their best game, in my opinion, week 1 against Tennessee, where they just completely dismantled a Tennessee team that just came back and beat Seattle in Seattle. They're not everybody's like, oh, Tennessee sucked. Like, the week 1 games get so magnified because we've waited 8 months for NFL football, and then like Ryan Tannehill sucks, Derek Carr's a top 10 quarterback. That's like the crazy swings, in perception of these guys, or just the opinion of these guys is in the week 1 and even week 2. Like, there have been so many Derek Carr's a top 10 quarterback, or Derek Carr's an elite quarterback takes. When he does have at least that one game where he has 136 yards, no touchdowns, 1 or 2 picks, people are going to say he sucks. That's the craziest shit ever. Like, he doesn't suck, and he's not an elite quarterback. He's a good starter. Top 15. I think I did a quarterback rankings maybe a month or 2 ago, and I think I had him at like 14 or no later than 16. That, to me, is a realistic, a reflection of kind of what he is. He's good. He's just not, he's not an elite player. He's not. And he's not going to keep doing what he's been doing. No, that doesn't mean he can't be a really good player all year long. He can be, but he's not elite. So anyways, yeah, man, the Cardinals break the Vikings' hearts, and that's 2 quick losses for Minnesota in basically heartbreaking fashion.
Yeah, and Kirk Cousins had a hell of a game himself.
He always does. He just,
Dalvin obviously did his thing. But let's talk about the ex-Texas commit in Rondell Moore.
Yeah, he's balling, man.
I mean,
he's much better than I thought he would be already.
I think it was either him. I think he was he was the fastest high school recruit of his class.
That doesn't surprise me. It's so
and
crazy.
He was committed at UT at one point, and then he pulled his commitment. Obviously, he ended up at Purdue. But like, I don't know why. I'm not quite sure where he's from. Maybe he was closer. Purdue was closer to home, but
yeah.
he's actually on our waiver wire and chalk your bets. I'm probably gonna get him. I just bet a bunch of money for him.
Yeah, you're not gonna get any fighting from me on that one, but I will say he could very conceivably be the number 2 in that offense for
I think
the rest of the season. Like I think that's
he's way. Well, I can't say way. I mean, he's better than I think Christian Kirk.
Christian Kirk's good, man.
I know that's why I didn't want to say way, but like, he's just so fast and elusive.
Yeah,
I mean,
I didn't see.
Obviously, he was
tape,
wide open on his 77-yard touchdown.
Maybe he's my Justin Jefferson awful miss this year, but I think I had a 3rd-round grade on him. I wasn't, super excited about him, but I think that when you look at what he did his first year, I think it was his first year at Purdue, he was awesome. It was just like after 2 years of like injury riddled, not all that explosive play, and then now he's coming in the NFL and immediately he looks explosive and dynamic. And so maybe he just wasn't healthy. I don't know.
Well, then that and, the quality of players that he's got on his team versus.
That's absolutely true.
I mean, he's got Kyler Murray.
That's the thing about.
God only knows who the quarterback was at Purdue.
I don't even know.
But
dude,
definitely wasn't Drew Brees.
As I mentioned earlier about some guys were great college players, not great NFL players. Maybe he's one of those guys that, he flashed his rookie or freshman year of college, but maybe he didn't have a great college career in terms of like the full body of work, but maybe he's just one of those guys that's a great NFL player, and it's definitely possible. So I like what they're doing with him. I like how they're using him, and I mean, he's producing. So that's a huge.
Yeah, I would most definitely say he's their second best player behind D-Hop. Obviously, I mean, AJ Green is done.
And man, I think Chase Edmonds is such a good buy low right now, even though it may not appear as if it's.
Hell, he averaged 5.8.
It's what he does. He's extremely efficient, and if he's going to be the 60 to 65%, I think he's going to work his way up to 65% of that running back workload. If he does that in this offense with Kyler Murray playing like this, and the offensive line being much improved, and his ability he's the pass catching back. I think that his touches are valuable because he's averaging basically 6 yards a carry as a runner, and he's also catching the ball. Like, he's the back that catches the football there. So he's going to get all the targets of running back targets there, or 90% of them, and he's going to average over 5 yards a carry on the season. I just think he will.
Yeah.
But
I mean, the Vikings, they had that game. They could be 1-1 right now.
Yeah,
but
they should. I mean, they could be 2-0. It's devastating for them. But Arizona looks legit. I can't wait to see. I think they play Jacksonville next week. So Trevor Lawrence, come ready to play,
there,
brother.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Panthers Saints. I'm so happy as a Panther fan. I thought we were a year away. We are not a year away. I don't think this is one of those situations where
after watching week 1, you're like, oh, well, maybe the Saints are going to be good this year because they freaking just blew out the pack in week 1.
And 38-3. The Saints were favorites in Carolina. They were 3.5-point favorites last I checked in Carolina, and they got completely dismantled. I mean, Jameis was under pressure on like 60% of his dropback. It was like alarming.
Their defense looks good.
Yeah, they look really fast, and they are one of the very few teams that has what looks like a legitimate possible, I'll talk about this in the podcast this morning, blue chip caliber player at every level, meaning on the defensive line, in the second level is Shaq Thompson, and then in the secondary. Like
Shaq Thompson. Wow.
He's a legit dude.
I mean, yeah. I remember you always talking about him.
I always knew he was a high level player.
And he's gotten better and better every year.
It's just that he was playing behind Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly, so his snaps were always limited, and it was like no one really knew who he was, especially the small market that is the Carolina Panthers. But hey, I like what Matt Rule's doing a lot. I like what Sam Darnold's doing.
He's like the money ball of the NFL.
Yeah, he said something today, or maybe it was yesterday, that like people were texting him saying congratulations on 2-0, and he said 1-0. Like his reply was 1-0, like meaning he said all he thought about week 1 was beating the Jets, all he thought about week 2 was beating the Saints, and all he's thinking about now is beating the Texans. Like he's on that's exactly what Ron Rivera was doing the year we went in 2015 as a Panther fan. We went 15-1, but we won 14 straight. And Ron Rivera was just like that, in that same kind of robotic, like, want to know every week. And the team, the players, we're saying the same things. You can notice something if the coach is really getting through to the players when the players sound exactly like the coach. And I think that Cam Newton has always sounded exactly like Ron Rivera when he played for the Panthers. Mm-hmm. And you're starting to see that with this version of the Panthers. So I'm excited, man, that Darnold's only been sacked twice. He has basically thrown for 300 yards each game.
He looks good. He looks a lot better than he did when he was a Jet.
He looks super.
And when everyone wrote him off as being a bust.
Yeah.
And now,
I wasn't thrilled about getting him.
Right.
I was just like, okay,
it was
cool. But hey,
it was a coin flip.
We're also
honestly a coin flip.
We're also not gonna, pencil him in as a legit franchise.
No pun intended.
For me, yeah. Right now, because we've seen guys like, look, Teddy Bridgewater. You want to pencil him in as a legit high level franchise quarterback because he's had 2 great games? No. For me, I am very optimistic on Sam Darnold. I think that he could be. I could see him becoming a top 10 player.
I mean, he's great. I mean, possibly. I feel like he's more of just like a great game manager.
Yeah, and that's fine with this defense. And the game manager's throwing for 300 yards, basically. So, but it is I know what you mean. It is kind of in a game manager, like.
Right, he's not going to just like go nuts every game.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey's the best player on that offense. Yeah. And that's okay. That doesn't mean that Sam's not good.
Take anything away from Sam.
Look, they've got a perfect. This is why I was so hard on him. Where I said, "Hey, if you're a Sam Darnold defender and he flops this year with Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Terrace Marshall, Robbie Anderson, all these guys and decent group at the tight end position, Dan Arnold, Ian Thomas, and those guys, and the rookie. If he flops this year, Joe Brady calling the plays, then he is just not that guy, right? But right now." He doesn't look like he's flopping at all. He looks great. And the Panthers' defense looks great.
Yeah.
And they beat the shit out of the Saints. They held the Saints to 7 points. That's never happened before. I believe that's
after Jameis went absolutely bonkers in week 1.
Yeah,
but that's just who Jameis Winston is. I mean, he's
maybe. I think that when he was under pressure. It was close to 70% of his dropbacks, I think. So if you're a quarterback in that situation, you're gonna look just like Jameis did, because if you have no chance, you have no chance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just that
simple.
simple.
Sam Darnold here, 26 of 38, 305, 2 touchdowns and a pick. I mean, 99 QB rating. I mean,
yep. And that's against the Saints defense that just held Aaron Rodgers to 3 points.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just 1 week ago. It wasn't like they, and they were down.
It's a great stat line.
I get that, but
great stat line.
Yeah. And he was just good all game long. He didn't have that lull like he had in week 1. Week 1.
Was that their first home game?
No, that was actually both games have been at home for Carolina too. Yeah. So, but when I look at this defense and I see they have 10 sacks so far, the pressures they're getting, and they're fast and explosive enough as finishers when they rush the passer to get sacks, right? You need to. Everybody's so high on pressures, as I talked about on this morning's podcast. Like, pressures are great, but you can lose every rep if you get a pressure and don't get the sack. You got to finish sometimes. They're finishing. They're getting a ton of pressure, and they're finishing. They look fast. They look well-coached. They look like a team that, if you ask me what the Panthers' defensive ceiling is, that it's the Seahawks. It's the Legion of Boom. Like, it's that, for the next few years.
They just look rejuvenated, reignited, kind of, in a way.
Yeah.
This
wild.
Season.
I thought we were a year away from this. I thought this was possible, but I thought it was a year away. But it's clearly, to me, it's very clearly right now. They're legitimate. They're a legit playoff team right now, and who knows? I can't wait till they play Tampa. This defense against Tom Brady is going to be fun to watch. But so the Saints, if you're a Saints fan, I'm not going to look. Every now and then you got all your coaches were out with COVID.
I don't know.
You've got all this kind of stuff going on. I wouldn't.
Sean Payton said they had personnel out, but obviously they can't use those as excuses. They just got beat
supposed to say,
on both sides of the ball.
What I'm saying is I wouldn't hang my head too low if you're the Saints fans, because you're gonna be fine. Like, they'll be all right. I think Jameis is gonna have.
Alvin Kamara had 8 rushes for 5 yards.
That was the most incredible part. Like, they're a little
8 rushes for 5 yards.
And he doesn't have those games. He doesn't.
Me in the condition and Yes, I'd go out there and do that. 100%.
Not against that Panthers defense. They
Probably
had
not.
8 for -27 or something.
Yeah, maybe against the Falcons.
Yeah, I think you could average 4 yards a carry against the Falcons. But
yeah, so
yeah, that's
it was a good game. Panthers look good.
I'm pumped. 2-0 Panthers, baby.
Yeah, we have a diehard Panthers fan. Obviously, I'm sure you guys know. I mean, and he also does show non-bias for other teams. Or
but I think I've been pretty good about that, especially in the last year or two. Since they fired Rivera and cut Cam, I've been able to be much more non-biased with them because they piss me off. But next one, Texans at Browns. So I said going into this game, if you guys listen to the preview podcast, preview and predictions one, I said the Texans could win this game, and I really felt like it was possible. They were in there. They were winning. Tyrod Taylor was like 19 of 20 or some crazy. He was going off. He gets hurt. Of
course
Browns,
he does.
I know. It's just so disappointing.
Every year.
But, last year wasn't his fault. They, punctured his lung or whatever.
Yeah, the doctor? Yeah.
That's not funny, but it is
right.
kind of funny. Because you were like, he just gets hurt like he's some fragile dude. He got fucking his lung punctured. But anyways, they were in it. They were competing with the Browns in Cleveland, and then, whatever. They're a much less talented team. So the coach there, I can't even think of his name right now. He's doing a fantastic job because you could see easily how the locker room would be lost in Houston. They basically got no.
Tyrod Taylor had a 144 QB rating.
Yeah, he was. What was it? What was he?
10 for 11 for 125 and a touchdown.
11 passes. Okay.
Yeah.
10 for 11, though. I mean, he was doing his thing. He was playing really well. And but Baker played well. I love Baker's tenacious.
19 out of 21 for 21.
19 for 21?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I mean,
he's doing his thing. He's playing his way into a
efficient.
much bigger contract. I said it in the offseason. I would go ahead and offer him 3 years, $100 million, fully guaranteed. I would have done that because you're going to pay 40 now. You're going to pay 40 for Baker after this season. And he's going to be 1 year closer to free agency, which then you're going to have to start getting into franchise tag games and all that stuff. So I would offer him right now 3 years, $100 million, see if he'll take that. 3 years, 110 or whatever. But anyways, the Browns, they're legit, man. This was a trap game, and it was a game that, like I mentioned a little while ago, momentum is huge, right? So the Texans were a team riding a pretty high, in terms of momentum. They went out there and beat up on the number 1 overall pick, Jaguars, all that hype. They stole it, deflated the Jaguars, crushed them, right? And they were going into Cleveland in a situation where Cleveland's coming off a loss, that Cleveland had the moral victory because they were beating Kansas City for most of that game and all that. They outplayed them. A lot of people are saying it was the perfect trap game, and it was shaping out to possibly be a trap, and then it didn't, right? So that right there shows me that Cleveland's ready to win now. Like, they're ready to – that's the sign of a veteran team, a team that's that's ready to play with expectations.
Right. And I'm ready to see OBJ come back. Like, obviously, Jarvis Landry's now on IR for the next 3 weeks or minimum 3 weeks.
So if OBJ's out there, top 2 guys.
So I don't think they would have put Jarvis Landry on IR if they didn't know that OBJ would be back.
I mean, OBJ was warming up to potentially play in week 1.
I don't get it.
And I think that
he's a prima donna. So I mean, I think they're just he's probably I'm not ready yet.
I kind of think Stefanski said, "Look, man, we're gonna beat the shit out of the Texans. So why don't you just sit tight for a week.
Get a little better."
I kind of think that's what happened, but we'll see.
But I mean, their rushing attack with Chubb and Hunt. I mean,
it's
crazy,
it's sick, and that offensive line.
Kareem Hunt is a RB1 on any other team.
Oh, absolutely.
He's better than Hilaire. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, Clyde. I'm worried about Clyde.
I think everybody is.
Yeah, I'm very worried. I was very optimistic about him. I'm not gonna freak out and panic.
You're not the only one. They drafted him in the first round. They're high on him, but he just.
Last year I told them not to do that though. I said don't draft Clyde in the first round. I had him as my RB16 entering last season. And people were like, you hate him and all this stuff. And now this year I'm like, he's in the 3rd round. He's available. I'm all in. Because historically with the Chiefs, we see an Andy Reid offense, the top running back is always an RB1.
Right.
It's just they just love throwing the ball, and maybe they just don't trust him. I don't know. he didn't have a single target against the Ravens. But we'll get to that later. Anyway, so yeah, Texans fans, you go to I think they play. Do they play in Carolina again? That'd be crazy. But I know they play the Panthers on Thursday Night Football, so it's a couple days from now, and that'll be fun. I mean, I think that we're going to see Davis Mills, the rookie third-round quarterback, against this Panthers defense. So good luck to him.
Davis Mills.
Hope he lives to see Friday. But anyways, Bengals at the Bears. So Joe Burrow played really well week 1, not so much against a good Bears defense. It was probably an angry Bears defense because a guy they know well, Matthew Stafford, just lit them up in week 1. I think it was like 20 of 27 for 320-something yards. And what was it? I think 3 touchdowns. So, yeah, and it was on national TV, prime time.
He's also, probably stuck in the mud in his head a little bit with his injury last year. I mean,
Burrow, yeah, but he played well in week 1. But what I tried to tell people on one of the podcasts I did last week, where I was saying that, look, Burrow, when you look at if you just look at the stat line, right, he played great in week 1, but he didn't look good at all early in the first quarter and a half or so. Like, to me, he looked like he was just really having a hard time. He was holding the ball. He was checking it down and her. It was like a combination. It was a weird combination. But then he kind of opened it up. When he threw that deep ball to Jamar Chase, I feel like that's when he was like, his confidence just kind of exploded onto the map. And that is something that just didn't happen in week 2 against the Bears. Again, very good Bears defense. What was Burrow? He was 19 of 30, 207 yards. So that is 6.9 yards an attempt. That's not horrible. 2 touchdowns, 3 picks, took 4 sacks. He's been sacked 9 times over the first 2 games. Imagine if they would have drafted old Penei Sewell, but hey, it is what it is. But yeah, man, that's a tough loss there for the Bengals because they were in the game. They only lost by 3. They had an opportunity to start 2-0. How amazing would that have been for Bengals fans to get a 2-0 start with this, with the young team they have,
especially against the Bears on the road.
Yeah, that's not an easy against Andy Dalton of all things. It looked like the stars were aligned, and they knocked Andy out of the game. Justin Fields came in, played decently. He ran the ball 10 times. I don't know if that was where.
I mean, his QB rating was 27. I mean,
yeah, it wasn't great.
He definitely
threw a touchdown to Allen Robinson that was dropped, though. You got to give him some credit there.
Forgot about that.
But all in all, look.
I don't know. He's got a bright. I think Fields on that topic. I think he's got a bright future. Another super uber talented player. So, I mean, if he's put in the right situation, I think he can thrive.
And they have skill players there. In Chicago, they've got some pretty good skill players.
I mean, Robinson, Montgomery. I mean, Marnooney,
guy, Demir Bird's another quality third option. Cole Kmet, who I think is a solid tight end. They've got weapons there, and I think we're going to see the real Justin Fields, so to speak. If Andy Dalton, I believe, is not going to play this week, it'll be Fields is going to take every rep, and they're going to game plan around him as the starter. Because that game, when he goes in, he's playing in Andy Dalton's. The game plan was designed around Andy Dalton, right? So he's now playing in Andy Dalton's shoes. Whereas this week, if he is the starter, which I think he is, it'll be a game plan designed around Justin Fields. It'll be built to his strengths and whatever. And I mean, Matt Nagy, you never know, but it should be built to what Fields can do well, and that's get him on the run. The thing about, again, with Trevor Lawrence, when are we going to talk about him? A few games from now. But I think Trevor needs to run more. I think that Fields, I know he ran 10 times in that game, but I think that this week the game plan should be design runs early. That was the formula for Cam Newton for so long. Like, it really got him into the game and settled in. Even taking a little hit, early on is like, it just kind of loosens you up a little bit.
Right.
I think they need to do that with Fields if he is a starter next week. But the Bears defense, my guy, Kendall Vildor, the corner from, people thought I was crazy. I said this guy's going to be a starter. He was a 5th-round pick.
Another freak in the Senior Bowl. Had that amazing pick.
That's me and you were at that Senior Bowl. That was the drone. Remember, I don't know if you guys remember the drone videos that I posted during that Senior Bowl week. But Kendall Vildor in one-on-ones, in just every day in practice, I was like, I didn't even know whose helmet that was because he went to Georgia Southern, I think. I'm like, who the fuck is that guy?
Yeah.
And he's just making play. And I thought he was like 6'1".
Same with, for me, obviously, you had done so much more research than me, but it was the same for Antonio Gibson for me. Van Jefferson. Didn't know any of those guys.
That's where I fell in love with Van Jefferson for sure, as did many other people. But yeah, man, I didn't hear many people at all, other than Jim Nagy, talking about Kendall Vildor. Jim Nagy's obviously,
and he showed out. He showed out 100%.
Yeah, and now he's a legit starter in Chicago. Like a big part, in my opinion, of them. I think what's his name, Kyle Fuller or Kendall? I think Kyle Fuller. Them cutting Kyle Fuller's like, hey.
Which is crazy because now Kyle Fuller's like pretty damn good,
well,
if not elite.
They needed the money too. They needed the money. And so they were like, hey, we like Vildor. He can come in there and start. And the thing about him is, I was about to say a second ago, when I was watching him at the Senior Bowl, I thought he was 6'1", 6'2". But he's like 5'10", 5'11". And it's just that he has like he's got arms that are like 32 plus inches long. So he plays much bigger. You know, a lot of people were like, he might be a slot guy. If you called him a slot guy, you didn't watch him play, and you damn sure didn't see him at the Senior Bowl or in person at any time, because when he's got his helmet on and he's playing football, he looks like a 6'1" corner. Yeah. You know, so him.
Probably a little taller in cleats, but yeah.
Yeah. So him, and then they drafted Jalen Johnson, the Utah guy that I loved last year in the second round. Look, that could be a great tandem of corners potentially. Well, I'm not going to say the word great, but at least a solid, starting tandem of corners.
Great potential.
Chicago. But yeah, great potential for sure. So because Vildor's a elite level athlete at that position, like his testing bared that out. So
and then, not to cut you off here, but on the Bengals side, Jamar Chase.
Yeah, I think he's a third option still.
Yeah, I mean, I know, but
people hate that. I really believe that because look, what did he have? 4 targets.
He 4 targets, 2 catches, 54 yards, and a touchdown.
If he doesn't, hear me out.
Touchdown late in the game.
If those 2 touchdown bombs, the one in week 1 and the one in week 2, if they are overthrown, right? Like if they don't happen, what are you thinking about Jamar Chase right now? We're all worried about him.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
well, he would have dropped him if he were in the preseason.
Yeah, right? At least he's not doing that anymore. That's very much encouraging. But I think I'm not trying to, manipulate his production. He's been a high-level producer for sure. But I just think that we need to be, like if those two, if Burrow just throws the ball to someone else, like what are we thinking about his stat line then? Because take minus 100 yards off of his total on the season, you're going to be like, well,
yeah, because
that's not the...
I mean, you can't forget about Tyler Boyd, which it seems like he's an afterthought now that they have T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Yeah, he went nuts this game. I mean, he's 7 for 73 and, 9 targets.
Yeah, I just think, T. Higgins
it was just all the hype, with Jamar Chase and then obviously T. Higgins coming in last year. Like, it kind of felt like Tyler Boyd was being overshadowed, but obviously Tyler Boyd is a great player. So
at the end of the day,
they have a great receiving core. Yeah, they 100%.
Do. All 3 of those guys are going to eat because Zach Taylor, I think his name is the coach there. He comes from Sean McVay.
He was Senior Bowl coach.
3 receivers have been able to 3 receivers have been able to eat in that offense since Sean McVay has been in LA. So I mean that's did I just rhyme?
Maybe. But you're a poet, you didn't even know it.
So 3 receivers can all eat, and I think that it's going to be similar to basically what we've seen so far, whereas some guys, it's going to be a little bit of a rotational kind of thing. Like this week it's T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Next week it's Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd.
They're all going to have their Sundays. They're all not going to go nuts every weekend.
I just think that T. Higgins is going to be the most steady.
Yes,
because
100%.
He's the best right now, in my opinion. Jamar Chase will be the best long term. I do think that's likely.
I mean, Jamar Chase he didn't play football for 17 or whatever it was, 15 or
it was almost
in between 15
years,
and 17 months,
Yeah, it was almost it was 20 months by week 1. If you don't count the preseason games,
it's wild. It was absolutely wild.
20 months. I mean, that's the thing about
and then all the drops that he was taking on in preseason, and he was blaming it on the ball. Like, has he not been practicing with the Duke?
I think they manipulated his statement with that. I think he said something about that, but I don't think he said it in the way that they, the media will do it.
Well, he said because they don't have the lines, obviously, and they do. It makes sense.
But
it's easier to see spinning, whatever how many times it spins in a second. But I mean,
I just don't think he was saying it in that way, though. I think he was just he was just making that statement, but I don't think he was saying it in the way where he was like, the NFL ball is so much harder. You know, I think they exaggerated what he was saying.
Yeah.
You know,
Could be.
Bears fans should be excited because, you know, you got the win in the way that your quarterback went down, you still got the win. And Allen Robinson hasn't even done anything yet. Darnell Mooney is looking really good. Darnell Mooney, like, if they're going to keep, you know, giving Allen Robinson a bunch of extra coverage like they should, Darnell Mooney is going to consistently eat. I said it before the season. He's the Deontay Johnson of 2020, you know, this year. Like, he's going to be the 100-plus. I'd say 120 targets is his absolute minimum. You know, he is a legit player. I didn't even know who he was to watch his tape before the draft, so I wish I would have known something about him pre-draft, because I might have liked him. I mean, I liked a lot of these guys, like similar guys like Jalen Darden, whatever. But to me, when I watch him play in Chicago, I think he's going to be a really good player, man. I think his ceiling is super high, and I think his floor is a quality number 2, you know, just like a solid number 2, I would say. But yeah, Bears are now 1-1. That was huge for them to not drop to 0-2, because, you know, you're not going to catch the Packers Packers did lose week 1. But either way, you want to keep pace with them. You don't want to start playing even if it's one game behind, because it's just going to get even more difficult. So, especially you got to play those guys twice. So, next one, Raiders at Steelers.
The Raiders.
The Raiders. My guy Derek Carr, the elite one, Derek Carr. Now, he's playing at an elite level so far this year, but so is Teddy Bridgewater. And we have to be consistent, right? So is Teddy Bridgewater, and so is Sam Darnold, right? And they're probably Jimmy Garoppolo, you could say.
2 gloves, Teddy.
Yeah, Teddy 2 gloves, who's giving it everything he has to heave that ball 40 yards down the field to Cortland Sutton. But, Teddy's accurate. He's good. But where are we at? Yeah, Steelers. So I mentioned this on one of the pods last week, I almost put this game down as my lock. The Steelers, I thought, they're going to win. You know, like, no.
You would think, right?
Yeah. Like,
based on years past, I mean.
Yeah, and they always start hot. Like, the Raiders' defense.
They went nuts last year before they fell apart.
Yeah, they were 11-0.
Yeah.
They always start hot. You know, depending on who they play next week, I might make them the lock of the week next week, because they're a good, at this time of year, they bounce back after a loss. Like, they're going to come out pissed off. I love how Mike Tomlin gets those guys so angry. But in this game, Henry Ruggs showed out. I think that if you can buy low on Henry Ruggs right now, I would do so, because I just have a weird feeling that he's about to start eating people up. Like, we quit on Henry Ruggs. Not me, y'all. No, but like a lot of people quit on Henry Ruggs because he didn't have a great rookie season. It's like, this is so nuts, dude, to like think that and he still averaged like 20 yards a catch on the season, even as a rookie, just wasn't a ton of volume. But Henry Ruggs has potentially elite level player in him.
Well, he's definitely got elite speed.
Yeah, he's got elite speed. He's a good route runner. He is dynamic after the catch. I think that Henry Ruggs could be.
He had a rough year last year.
Yeah, but it was a rookie season.
Right.
I mean,
he's learning.
Yeah. You know, what was he? 20, somewhere around 20 yards a catch. But anyways,
he was very raw coming into the NFL.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, he's an Alabama guy, so he's disciplined and well coached. But
yeah, I mean, it's just
the learning curve. It's just like, all these guys come from Alabama, and you know you feel like that they are pro ready, but at the end of the day, it's a completely different game.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, what is he? Ruggs. Okay, so he averaged basically 17.5 yards per catch, you know, as a rookie. Had almost 500 receiving yards. So it's not like he just was a non-factor.
Right.
He also, I don't think
just a bit of a learning curve.
Yeah. Yeah, he just wasn't, you know, and also Derek Carr is not always a guy that's willing to push the ball deep down the field. We saw the game again, even last year against Kansas City, where he had 100 yards, I think it was, and he caught that like 70, 80-yard touch. You dial some plays up for Henry Ruggs. Use Waller as the decoy, like, you know, you can, and I think like they did on that particular long pass against the Steelers, and I would just keep heaving those things up to Ruggs, because if you can get him in one-on-one,
he's going to run past everybody.
He's going to run past them. Yeah. And then what do? You're not going to double Ruggs. And
now if you've got an elite corner on him, press coverage. I mean,
you press him and don't destroy him, and he's off to the races.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's it's going to be interesting. But Derek Carr's playing great. The Raider defense is playing really well. It's low key playing well. I think they're only allowing 22 points a game so far.
Their backfield's a little sus.
The running backs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, but they got Kenyon Drake, and I think that Drake, and I posted something about this, but Drake to me, without Josh Jacobs in the lineup, Drake not being the bell cow back, he didn't even lead them in carries. They gave it to Peyton Barber 13 times.
That's my point.
To me, I think the point of that and kind of like what we can take from that is that the Raiders are not trying to put Kenyon Drake in that role. They want him in his same role, sort of like with when last year Sean Payton, Drew Brees goes out, Jameis Winston comes in, and then next week and every week after that Drew Brees missed, Taysom Hill was the starter. Sean Payton said the reason for that is because, and that was his plan all along, he said, I want to keep Taysom Hill in his role so that if Drew goes out, we've already game planned all week for Taysom Hill to have that specific role. So that's why Jameis came in. But then immediately when we knew Drew was going to miss time, Taysom Hill's a starter. So it's in this case, they want to keep Kenyon Drake in his specific role. Mm-hmm. Like that's what they view him as, a guy that's going to be the 1B and is going to be their receiving back. And, they want somebody else to carry the load in rush attempts, I should say, and probably the 60%-ish of the workload.
He had a rough outing this week.
Yeah, he did. But overall, I mean, he also played against the Steelers, so that's not easy.
Well, speaking of the Steelers, with Naji Harris, obviously.
The stiff arm from hell, baby. Yeah, he put that dude down.
I know, and I'm super high on him coming into fantasy year. Obviously, I took him in the second round. When I was when I lived in California, I think it was my second or third year in California. Anyways, he was the number one running back out of Antioch in high school. Yeah.
That's cool.
And he was just like a freak of nature, and like obviously went to Alabama, and he was, backed up.
He
backed up Damian Harris.
Yeah.
There was whoever came out of there too. I can't remember. There's another running back that he backed up. He was like third on the depth chart.
Yeah, it was Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs and
crazy.
Damian Harris, and then all of a sudden it was this turn. And he
had
just
40 touchdowns.
Yeah, he was fucking nuts.
Insane.
I think he's the best running back in Alabama history.
Derrick Henry, maybe, but yeah, he's up there for sure in terms of just putting his stats up there with anybody. He's
I mean, or maybe he had the best season, like
I think so
in Alabama history. I can't remember. He was obviously a stud.
At the end of the day, he is a stud. I think that the most encouraging part about him is that he's clearly the number one back there.
Yes, 100%. I mean,
use him
but he only had 10 rushes. But
they're
their offensive line is horrendous. Probably.
I think that means you need to run the ball.
I know, but it's like it's hard for him to find holes. So it's like that. I guess they kind of deviate from that once they see that he obviously can't run anywhere, and it doesn't make any sense because he showed out in the preseason. They looked,
Yeah.
But then again, preseason's preseason.
When you have a shitty offensive line, which they do, I think the best course of action is to run more and then play. Like, imagine Ben Roethlisberger if he can hard play action and then set his feet and have a clean pocket with all the three or four. I mean, they got James Washington as their fourth receiver, Claypool, Deontay Johnson, and Juju's playing well. In that scenario, that's how you want to be. You want to put Ben in when he drops back to pass. That's the scenario you want to maximize. You don't want Ben to have to put the game in his hands every week. At this point in his career, he's not the same guy.
Yeah.
Right? And you spent the first round pick on Naji Harris
40 times.
Yeah. It's not did he really?
Yeah. 27 of 40 for 295, a touchdown and a pick.
They were right there the whole game. It's not like they were getting blown out. And there was no Naji Harris ran the ball 10 times, Ben threw it 40. What are you doing?
Yeah, that's not
Smart.
feasible.
No. But I think that ultimately I would say Naji Harris might be sort of a buy low right now. Like, would you feel comfortable trading him?
No, because I think he as the season goes on, he's going to get better.
So you're like not gonna overreact after 2 weeks.
Yeah,
so.
no.
But I think someone.
The talent's obviously there, you know, and he's obviously a rookie, so he's got to find his footing in the NFL. And I think he's gonna. The game will start slowing down for him a little more as the season goes on. He'll start finding those holes.
So kind of like Jonathan Taylor last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
it's just the offensive line scares me.
Yeah.
But you know. I mean, if he's as elite as everyone thinks he is, it shouldn't matter what the offensive line does. Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping. I damn well hope that he has a great year because I drafted him fucking second round and I passed on a lot of other guys. So
I think that if that stiff arm play didn't happen and the receiving touchdown didn't happen, then I think he would be in a prime position to buy low on because at that point, whoever drafted him in the second round is probably 1-1 at best, maybe 0-2, and they are like
100%. If he didn't have the week he had this week, I'd be 0-2. Yeah. But because I played against Derrick Henry and he.
Oh my god, you beat Derrick Henry?
Yeah, well,
you might be the only dude alive that pulled that off this week.
Well, Lamar Jackson went bonkers.
Oh, yeah, Lamar's awesome. All right.
Sunday night.
So, yeah, man, the Raiders, to me, look legit. They need to keep winning. I think they play.
John Gruden, you know, brings that swagger to the team.
Right, and he's finally got two. But remember.
They've got a good squad. Your boy Hunter Renfrow showed out.
They beat the Saints last year in Week 1 on Monday Night Football, I think. They need to keep the consistency. I can't remember who their opponent is right now, but it's a winnable game. It's a very winnable game, if I recall correctly, this week. So the Raiders could very likely be 3-0. See who they play?
Probably on this side.
No, it's on the opposite side of that one. Yeah.
The Raiders?
Yeah. I know it's a winnable.
They got the Dolphins.
See, it's not like
without Tua.
Yeah, and I don't even know if that's I'm such a Tua hater, but I don't hate him. I don't think he's great.
No, I mean, he's a great college quarterback.
He might be
it's just
exactly that guy. Tua might be in 5 years.
He's just Tua small.
Tua small. He is. I was going to tweet this out, but I felt like it would be too mean.
And he's left-handed. Right. I mean, no offense. I'm left-handed, so you know, we're a special breed, but it just doesn't correlate in the NFL.
I don't know if that has much to do with it, but
think about it. It might have a little bit. Anyways,
it could. But the thing that I was going to tweet out that was kind of mean, and I didn't do it because I don't like to talk. If you guys haven't noticed, I don't almost ever talk negatively about the players because on Twitter, especially because these guys search their names, they get enough of that. I just try and stay away from that. Even if I don't like a guy pre-draft, I'm not going to really say that too much. Unless it's a guy like Micah Parsons, who I knew was going to go in the first round anyways. I'm not trying to hurt these guys' draft status, but not that my one tweet is going to do that. But I try to limit that. But I almost tweeted that Tua is just too small to play in the league. Like he's just good, meaning not that he's not like because Kyler Murray's a little smaller than him, but the point is he breaks. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And
he's not as elusive as Kyler either.
Exactly. And he just like he got carted off for a rib injury that he's now day to day on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there might be reasons for that. I'm not trying to disrespect the hell out of Tua. I just am giving you my honest opinion. I don't hate him. I actually think he's a really nice guy, good kid.
Of course, great kid.
Great kid. But I just don't think he's strong enough physically to play at a high level in the NFL. I just don't. But anyway, so Raiders fans should be pumped. You got to beat the Dolphins because even though they're good,
you know,
you got to beat the Dolphins.
They're in Vegas this year in their brand new stadium
with fans.
Like they're fired up. They're ready to go.
Play. The thing about Derek Carr too is he's been extremely clutch. He hasn't just he's been winning the games for them.
He's a veteran player now, so he understands the game a lot more at this stage in his career. Mm-hmm. And they look good. Yeah, they do. They look good.
The defense looks respectable too. It doesn't look maybe not great, but it's definitely respectable.
Now, their cornerback or free safety, Jonathan Abram. Yeah. How's he playing this year?
I think he's playing pretty well. I saw that he made a big play. One of the people I follow that's a Raiders
Salmon.
Kind of beat Raiders.
I remember that on Hard Knocks.
Oh,
they went out to eat.
I didn't watch Hard Knocks.
And they were getting salmon, and he called it salmon.
A lot of people do that.
Yeah.
That's funny. But yeah, I think he made a big play against the Ravens to I think he forced the fumble or something like that, or he made.
Well, they
a
were
pass
trying
breakup
to they were
late in
trying
the
to
game.
kind of paint him up as a bust almost.
Yeah, because they do that. It's crazy. Like
When we say they, we're talking about the mass media who probably,
Yeah, they always like, and it's a lot of fans too. Like if a guy doesn't come out there, like,
but also the fans listen. They're influenced by mass media. So,
but like for example, Justin Jefferson was drafted after Jalen Reagor, right? So Jalen Reagor comes out, has an underwhelming rookie season, no doubt about it. Justin Jefferson goes completely batshit crazy.
Bonkers.
Everyone thinks Justin Jefferson's a star and Jalen Reagor is a bust. That's not necessarily true, and we're seeing Reagor's playing pretty damn well to start this season off. Like, he was a rookie. Like, sometimes a guy can't play well right away. Like look at Terrell
and it's
Owens.
also it also depends on the situation they're put in.
Yeah, Carson Wentz wasn't exactly lighting it up there. Doug Peterson didn't have his greatest year as a play caller there.
Right.
There's a lot of things going on, and looks like the Philly coach that they have now is pretty good though. I'd be a little excited if I were an Eagles fan right now. But let's talk Rams Colts real quick. So the 2-0 Rams now, man, going into Indy.
Our boy,
it just felt all week like they were
our
gonna
Dallas
beat
boy
them.
Matt Stafford.
Yeah, he's from Dallas.
He's a stud.
Yep.
I mean, he's the epitome of class.
Is he?
I mean, yeah. I mean, he doesn't get any classier. I mean, it's Matt Stafford. I mean, he's obviously he's a bona fide badass.
I posted about him today, and I said it was really a Jared Goff.
He's just a high class, high character guy.
Yeah.
I mean, through and through.
But like,
and he's a stud.
Matt Stafford is an elite talent, is what I said. I didn't say he's an elite player because he's not proven to be that just yet, just based on consistency. And
I mean, hasn't he had a couple 5,000-yard seasons?
Yeah, but he hasn't been an elite player consistently.
He also did have Megatron.
Yeah.
For one of those. Maybe both of them.
But
anyways.
With Sean McVay, he could easily be that this year. And so far, it's looked pretty damn good.
Yeah, I mean, when they got Stafford, obviously, you knew that they were going to be good. Huge upgrade from Jared Goff. No disrespect.
It's such a game of inches in so many ways, right? Because Jared Goff, to me, is an above-average starter. I don't think he's great. I think he's not quite as good as Derek Carr, but I don't know. He's right there with Derek Carr, in my opinion.
I mean, I think Josh Rosen's better than Jared Goff.
Dude, that's one guy that I did bash pre-draft, post-draft, and everything. I thought it was crazy that people were that high on him. Anyways, what was I saying?
Stafford.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Jared. So the difference between an above-average starter and a guy that really could be and should be an elite player in your system, that difference to me is what makes it, and to the Rams obviously as well, is what made it worth it for the Rams to go out and pay the crazy price they paid for Stafford. Because if you go from above-average starter. Like, for example, look what happened to the Buccaneers. They had what many would consider an above-average starter, and at least an average starter in Jameis Winston, and they upgraded to an elite starter in Tom Brady, and they won the whole freaking thing. You know what I mean? So, and yes, I know they added other things. I get that. But the difference was 7-9 to Super Bowl in year one, where Brady didn't even know what he was doing halfway through the season in terms of the playbook. I mean, so that, with a full offseason this year, Matt Stafford's come out playing well. I think there's a very good chance he finishes the year playing even better. And they're 2-0 with a win at Indy. That's a tough team to beat in their home stadium, even though Carson Wentz got hurt. I get all that. I just think that the Rams are legit, man.
They're 100% legit. Cooper Kupp is going to have a freaking ridiculous season. Already off to a fantastic start. So
he's a good player. I still have Robert Woods.
Yeah, I know. Trust me. I drafted Robert Woods in pretty much all my leagues.
No, I'm saying I still like Woods better for the rest of the season. I would still take Woods.
I mean, I think Woods is going to have his days, but Cooper, I mean, I just feel like
we've seen this from Cooper Kupp though.
Right, we have.
We've seen him.
We thought he was done after his knee injury. I did.
I drafted him that year, I think.
I did.
Where I was a
proponent. I didn't write him off completely, but I didn't think that he was gonna be the same player.
It was so late, like the knee injury happened, I think, late in that season, so it was tough to imagine him being, healthy and ready to play week 1, but he had a great week 1 that next year, I think.
I just think the rapport that he has with Stafford is a lot better.
He's definitely ahead of schedule in that regard. And really, we have to look at the real film to tell, but it might be because they're treating a guy in Robert Woods that's basically had 90 catches in each of the last 3 seasons. Mm-hmm. He's been the more consistent player. Maybe opposing defenses are treating him like the number 1 receiver, and that's resulting in Cooper Kupp.
Cooper had 11 targets. Robert Woods had 9. So,
maybe
if Robert catches all those, he had 5 for 64, 12 yards average.
Yeah.
12.8. So really 13, which is phenomenal.
Right.
But like I said, I think he's going to have his Sundays, but I think consistently Cooper Kupp is going to be dominating.
I've advised,
at least in the fantasy aspect.
Yesterday's podcast, I told them, or maybe it was today's. I don't even know. I do so many podcasts at this point. But I said that I would sell high on Cooper Kupp right now, because if you can get, for example, if you can trade let's say Cooper Kupp and who's like a mediocre running back, right? So Cooper Kupp and I would trade Cooper Kupp and Zeke for Christian McCaffrey right now. I would do that in a heartbeat because I'm
mediocre.
But I think I think
Darrell Henderson would be mediocre.
Well, they're both on the same team, though, so it'd be tough to trade them. But the point is, maybe even like a Cooper Kupp and Chase Edmonds for, I don't know, Christian McCaffrey, or buy low on Alvin Kamara or something like that. I would trade Cooper Kupp right now, because I think that what I care most about is how my team is playing over the stretch run. And if you look back at the game splits, I should have done this already before this, so I could have told you guys exactly. But if you look at the splits, Cooper Kupp has done this before, and then he's trailed off down the end of the season. Look at the last 5 games of last season. He did it. He's done it multiple times in his career. And I'm more confident in Robert Woods in terms of consistent, production. I think that what happens when one receiver goes crazy for the early parts of the year, defenses adjust. They're going to start treating Kupp a certain way. Robert Woods is going to have, you know what I mean? So I would rather be on the Robert Woods side of this long term. That's just my humble opinion. I could easily be wrong, because Cooper Kupp is a stud. It's not that I don't think he's a great player. I do. I just think that Robert Woods has shown to be the more consistent guy in this offense, but we'll see. Real quick, last year, so Cooper Kupp over last year, let me just tell you Kupp's targets over the last 5 games. 5, 9, 5, 5, 9. He had, only 1 game with over 70 yards receiving. And he had 100-yard game, 100-yard game, 100-yard, 3 100-yard games, another 3 games with 66+ yards. So he's trailed off before. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, can't wait to watch Rams Bucks next week. Colts, if Carson Wentz, who do the Colts play next week? We see, because if Carson Wentz is out, they have a real chance of starting 0-3. That's tough, man. That is tough. And if I'm not mistaken, did they play both of their games?
Colts play Tennessee. In Tennessee.
Huge opportunity for the Titans to create some separation. I mean, they could go 2-1 and make the Colts 0-3 in the process. So that would be awesome. And then Jacob Eason just threw 5 passes, threw 1 interception. I'm not gonna, that was.
They need to get my boy Ellinger in there.
Oh God, stop it! Jacob Eason's a stud. I think he's gonna be a good player. And
you don't think Ellinger will be?
No. I mean, no.
We'll see.
Anyways, let's move on and talk about the 49ers and the Eagles.
Wait, before we move on, though, I want to talk about Pittman.
Okay. Oh, yes. Michael Pittman. He was the guy that I was super high on in terms of a double-digit round guy. That
I think he's going to have a good year.
Absolutely. And now you say, what did he have, 100+ last week, right?
Mm-hmm. I think he had, let's see, I think he had 118.
118. Okay.
8 for 123.
Dude, it's possible, because he didn't do shit in week 1. It's possible that somebody in your league dropped him. He might be on waivers in some people's leagues right now, because he
maybe not in Chalk Your Bets because it's so competitive. But
yeah, he was a guy that was a double-digit draft pick, right? So, I mean, he went 10th round or something like that, 11th round, and he did, like, nothing in week 1. So I could see in some leagues that he might be on waivers this week in your league. So I would check that out. Speaking of waivers, I don't even know if I'm going to do any waiver thing. I probably won't because I just don't really see anyone that I'm super crazy about. Like you
Rondell
Moore. I get that.
Last call on Rondell Moore.
I'm going to sit tight. I think Rondell Moore is going to be a stud, but
I don't think he's going to go nuts every week, but
yeah.
I mean,
I've also seen Kyler Murray.
My wide receiver 3 right now is Devontae Smith. So obviously it's not a terrible choice, but
not bad at all.
I don't know. I just like the dynamic of Kyler Murray and Rondell Moore.
Yeah. Do you have Kyler Murray too?
No, not in this league.
Yeah, but that's okay. Kyler's got 9 touchdowns in the first 2 weeks, man. He's got 2 rushing and 7 passing. But I'm trying to look back at because Kyler was statistically awesome for the most of the season last year, and then he just really look, his last, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4,
they
5,
missed
6
the playoffs because of him.
Yeah,
right.
His last 6 games were just awful.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
but then again,
I shouldn't say awful, but
another year, another year under his belt. Obviously, knows the playbook a lot more this year. Like we said earlier, early MVP candidate.
Yeah, absolutely. As he was last year, too. So, but anyways, Michael Pittman's an absolute stud. I would, it's tough now because he just had that game. So if anybody's already had him on their roster, they're not really selling low.
Yeah.
But keep an eye. If he has another one of those clunkers early, like next week or two, I would immediately make some type of an offer because I think he's going to be a guy that plays well the rest of the year. Niners at Eagles. So the 49ers, 2-0, both wins on the road. I think that's awesome because it's not easy to win on the road in this league, right? And isn't it crazy how the Eagles were thought by many, except for me, you can go back and listen to my podcast. I said, are the Eagles actually good? I think was the title of that podcast. But Philly, the perception of them after week 1, after just dominating the Falcons in Atlanta, was like, whoa, maybe Philly's good, right? And then they played the 49ers tight,
right.
And they almost, that Jalen Reagor should have caught that touchdown pass. He stepped out. But they ultimately came up short. I mean, the 49ers defense having the discipline to be able to defend that Philly special on 4th and goal was pretty damn impressive, in my opinion. Like, to have that discipline in week 2 is pretty impressive. So we saw the Niners last week took some criticism on the defensive side of the ball, because they let Jared Goff and the Lions, almost come back and win that game. But what people don't realize is they had a pick 6 and they were up 38-10, right? So the final 23 points were scored in complete garbage time. It got interesting there down the stretch, but it was garbage points, right? Like, I'm not going to indict that defense on that kind of performance. And then they come out this week and really make the Eagles offense look like just, couldn't do
shut them down.
Yeah. So I'm excited. If I'm a Niner fan, I'm also still optimistic if I'm an Eagles fan. I mean, you're still, basically tied for first place in your division still. So, just after 2 weeks. But, it is what it is. I think Philly is a team that's going to win at least 7 games this year. And that's kind of, I think, what I said in that podcast before the season. But, yeah, man, I think Jalen Hurts looks good, even though he wasn't able to do a ton.
Yeah, everyone was kind of skeptical coming into the year, whether he was, going to be good or not. But, I mean, he's another smart guy. So, I mean, I think
I had him as a top 10. I think he was like my 9th quarterback or 8th quarterback fantasy. So, I think that, I think they'll – and the Eagles' defense is really good, too. Like, that's what I was looking at when I was looking at
I'm worried
the
about
roster.
Miles Sanders, to be honest.
I'm not worried about Miles Sanders at all.
I mean, we'll see.
I'm excited about Miles Sanders. I think that he's a buy low right now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you think he's going to turn it around, he's definitely a buy low.
Well, he had a really good week 1, and then last week against the very good Niners defense, he wasn't able to do a ton. But he also didn't get a bunch of touches,
Yeah.
I think Gainwell's going to –
I
just have this feeling that Gainwell's going to hit the rookie wall, and Miles Sanders is such a better player that he's going to just slowly and surely pick up the workload, in my opinion. All right, Bills at Dolphins. I've been looking forward to this one because I'm not happy with the Buffalo coaching staff, and they won 35-0. So
Crushed them.
I'll start off on the positives. Gregory Rousseau, who I did not like, led the Buffalo Bills in snaps by all defensive linemen. He was the leading snap guy as a rookie in week 2. So, and he also played well. So he looked great in preseason. He's looking good now. So
their defense just
is
dominated.
Well, they had Star Latulele back now. They didn't have him last year. He opted out with the COVID thing. And then they, so now they are healthy. They have added some guys up front, and, Rousseau being one of them. And apparently he's
it's funny. It's funny you forget about some of these guys that are in the NFL, and you don't even realize that they're still even in the NFL. And Jacoby Brissett is one of those guys. I had no idea that he was their backup, and then Tua gets hurt, and then I'm like, who's that guy? Jacoby Brissett. It was crazy.
Yeah,
but
they knew they needed a good backup, and he is that. He's a good backup.
Well, he showed it when he threw that pick straight to the receiver. Or I guess he didn't even see the corner, or it might have been the safety. But I
think he'll do a lot better.
Yeah, well, he's probably a little rusty.
Yeah, in a role of again, similar to Justin Fields and all that, just being able to come in and play if he's the starter and they build the game plan around him. He was playing the Tua thing, and he's a different kind of player than Tua. He's more of a hold the ball, kind of looks to get it more in the intermediate, some deep parts of the field, whereas Tua is a quick game kind of guy. But yeah,
it's Jacoby Brissett. There's not much to say about the guy.
He's a solid player. Honestly, it wouldn't shock me if he ends up, and this is going to sound crazy to some people, it wouldn't shock me if he ended up becoming the starter. And if they were just you know what, we're going to roll with Jacoby another week. If he comes out and plays great against the Raiders this week, which is possible, they might say, yeah, Tua's still kind of hurt. Just going to let him. I don't know. They were in on the Deshaun Watson trade, and maybe they're still in on it for a reason, right? You just drafted Tua ahead of Justin Herbert, 5th overall. Ahead of Justin Herbert.
That hurts to hear.
I wouldn't have done that. No, I'm just kidding.
Hurts to hear.
Yeah, but and then 1 year later, you are where Tua wasn't even supposed to play. You took him with the expectation he might not even play as a rookie, and you were fine with that. Now he plays a few games. He doesn't play horribly.
A reach.
And you're trying to spend whatever you have to get
REACH.
Yeah, that was a reach, but they had Herbert was available. So I honestly think that, what do you think was the reason, excuse me, that they passed on, that they took him over Herbert?
Because he came out of Alabama, and it's oh, yeah, he comes out of Alabama, he has a great season, a great career there. It's I don't know. Everyone just thinks that everyone that comes out of Alabama is just going to be a stud.
But think about this, though. Mac Jones fell to 15th overall.
Yeah, but Mac Jones isn't
it wasn't the tank. They got caught up in the hype of tank for Tua.
Mm-hmm.
It was going on for years. And the hype, in my opinion, was able to influence a NFL team. I don't see how you could think anything else. Herbert got a bad rep, so it worked in the opposite, right, for Herbert. It was Tua is clearly, the fan
Herbert
favorite.
also played for Oregon,
which people just don't want to dude. Herbert played against an NFL.
I honestly
defense.
didn't even know who Herbert was until his senior year.
Yeah, I don't really follow college football, so I
I don't either. But you always hear about those guys.
Yeah, well, he was gonna go top 10.
I didn't even know about Zach Wilson until he was getting hyped up.
Well, that's because he didn't play
BYU.
very well last year or the previous year. He was decent.
That's what I just don't understand. It's was he a senior?
I think so.
See, it's they hype these guys up. Oh, he's a 4-year starter. He's a senior.
Herbert was a 4-year starter.
Yeah, I know. And they have a great senior season, and they're more in the limelight, more in the spotlight because they're looking for those next guys for the upcoming draft. And I think Like, honestly, I didn't even know who the fuck Zach Wilson was. And,
yeah.
you know, we haven't even got to that game yet, but my God.
That'll be last, actually. But yeah, I mean, it was what it was. So let's see. Yeah, Bills defense played great. My only beef with Buffalo, and I know I'm nitpicking, is that you're not, like, Devin Singletary is running the ball well. He's clearly the lead guy there, by the way. I think that much is obvious. But you're still...
Yeah, I mean, you would have to say that with Zach Moss as a healthy scratch week 1. Like,
week 1, yeah. He scored a touchdown week 2, though.
He scored 2.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he scored the last 2.
But
he had
look,
5 for 30, or excuse me, that's Josh Allen. He had 8 for 26, 3.3 average with 2 touchdowns. And 1 fumble loss.
Josh Allen has thrown the ball 84 times over the first 2 games. He is, he's completing 56% of his passes, averaging 5.4 yards per attempt. At the end of the day, man,
I ain't gonna win.
If you don't give him a running game at all, and now last year this worked, and the reason this worked is because you caught everyone off guard, right? Like, everyone had the reputation of a team that ran the ball 50+% of the time. Like, right behind Baltimore, they were the leading rushing team. So when you came out and you were slinging it all over the yard, that caught defenses off guard. The biggest part, in my opinion, about offensive football, effective offensive football, is being unpredictable, right? Now, everybody's waiting for you to do what you're doing, and you're just stubbornly trying to do it. It's like, if your main prerogative is winning, then, like, have balance. Sean McDermott clearly believes in running the football.
Right. But I just don't think he believes in his running backs. That's the problem.
I mean, Singletary's averaging like 6.5 yards a carry over the first 2 games, so I don't know.
Right,
man.
But, I mean, we've been talking about Singletary for a few years now. Like, this is his year. And maybe this is it, but...
He had a good rookie season. Last year he struggled, but the offensive line was just, I mean, it was kind of rough, right? And then this year, so far in the 2 games, he's playing phenomenal. He's playing, really well. And Allen has...
Well, he had a 46-yard run, and then he ended up... That was on one rush for 46 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, and then he had 12 rushes for 82 yards.
That's good.
Or, excuse me.
Oh, for 42.
For 40.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's still not bad, though. I mean, what is that, 12? It's like 3.5 yards a carry. So, just like with Jamar Chase, we have to count all of his production, and he still broke the big one. Dude, if you watch Devin Singletary play in college, you know that dude has legit talent. Like, he could be, I don't know, a top 15, 20 running back in the NFL, in my opinion. Like, he could really easily be that.
Well, the last 2 years I've been high on him in fantasy, and I just...
Oh, so you're mad at him.
I shied away from him this year.
Yeah, I did too, but like...
Him and Zach Moss, because...
I shied away from him.
Zach Moss was supposed to be the guy last year.
Yeah.
And he was a healthy scratch week 1.
I think what they did with Zach Moss last year, and I think this is what they do with a lot of their young guys. You're seeing it with Gregory Rousseau right now.
Zach Moss just runs into brick walls.
I think what they do is they give their rookies a big workload. They give them an opportunity to succeed. And then if they don't, then they just trail it back. So it's kind of like sort of smart, I think. The guys that they think have a chance to be special or very good or whatever, they put them in position, give them the workload, because Moss was kind of the guy, sort of 55%, 60% of the guy in terms of workload early last year. And then he had some injuries and some things like that going on. So this year, healthy scratch week 1, that kind of maybe it was Matt Breida.
Oh.
And Breida didn't exactly light it up, but he's
Breida didn't even get a carry in week 2. I don't even think he was active.
Yeah, he was probably inactive if Zach Moss was back up.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I just think that Josh Allen, look, man.
Was that just an experiment? Did they think Breida was the guy or what?
Throwing the ball on average 40+ times a game it's just, I just don't think it's a wise move, right? He's under quite a bit of pressure.
Yeah.
He's completing 56%. He's under 60 in both games. It's not like
he had a 75 QB rating in week 2, and they won 35-0.
Yeah, same thing in week 1. Like, yes, he has elite arm talent, and no, I'm not backing off on my love for Josh Allen. I still think he's an elite player, but I think that you're not putting him in a best position to succeed. It doesn't mean that he sucks if he needs a running game. Guess who else needs a running game? Matt Stafford. Look what he's doing with one.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He didn't have one in Detroit, and that's where the lack of consistency could have possibly come from. Everyone needs a running game. Like, Mahomes, let's just face it, he's the exception to the rule. You know what I mean? And oftentimes he has a running game, right? That we've seen them lean on it. And, I mean, we've at least seen Clyde get 14, 15 carries into each of the first 2 weeks, I think, I know Clyde had 14 in week 2. So they're still at least running the ball a little bit more. And to me, what the Chiefs do with Andy Reid, they're calling the plays. No disrespect to Brian Daboll there in Buffalo, but it's a different level with Andy Reid. So he can get away with that stuff.
Right.
Most cannot. But anyways, great win for the defense.
Andy Reid's also a Hall of Fame coach. So.
Yeah, exactly. I would be worried if I'm the Dolphins just a little bit, but about the offense, man, 0 points.
You know, I rewatched that game earlier today, and Byron Jones is another one of those guys that I just completely forgot was still in the NFL.
Dude, he's like a super highly paid guy, overpaid guy.
Right.
But
I know, the
Dolphins.
And of course, he's on the same team as the other guy, Brissett, who I forgot was.
Yeah, the Dolphins could have signed James Bradberry for like $2 million less.
Where is he now? These are the Giants, right? Yeah,
he's still an elite player.
Yeah,
I think Terry McLaurin beat up on him last week, but
Scary Terry is.
That's just a tough matchup for Bradberry, just because of
Terry McLaurin's a hell of a player.
Yeah, he's quick and he's fast and all that stuff. So it's a little bit of a tough matchup. All right, Broncos-Jaguars. I've been trying to talk about Trevor Lawrence because I've noticed that nobody's talking about him. Look, they called him.
The next Peyton Manning
quarterback prospect
since Peyton Manning,
since John Elway, since Andrew Luck, all that, and he's completing 50% of his passes. You know, he's not. And then I had somebody tell me, they replied to my Twitter the other day, they said his team's letting him down. And I said,
it's
don't
the Jags.
You fucking dare do that.
But there's a little truth to it because it's the Jags, and they've been awful.
Dude,
in the years past.
If you told me right now to rank the I'm not going to say that. I think that he has quite a bit to work with in terms of skill players, right? Laviska Shenault was like the fan favorite of fantasy draft offseason. You didn't hear me talk about him much because I'm not a big fan. DJ Chark was a huge, people love DJ Chark, and I do like Chark a little bit. Marvin Jones, that's 3 pretty solid receivers, right? Nice, well-built. You've got the different styles and things like that. You got Chark as a field stretcher. Marvin Jones is your he can do whatever you want. And you've got Shenault is more the quick game, kind of gimmicky type of role or whatever. You have pieces in place there. The offensive line is not bad at all in Jacksonville. But 4 touchdowns, 5 picks, man.
Jacksonville's another team that doesn't have a run game.
And that's their own damn fault. That part I will give Trevor. But look, he's thrown the ball 84 times in the first 2 games, completing 50% of his passes, 4 touchdowns, 5 picks, had a 37 quarterback rating and averaged 3.6 yards per pass attempt against Denver in week 2.
Yeah, I'm looking at stat line right here for 14 to 33 for 118 yards, a pick, 2 picks and a touchdown.
Here's the biggest issue with me for Trevor and with what they're doing for him. He's run the ball 3 times. He needs to run the ball. That was the reason I said his floor as a pro, not necessarily as a rookie, but was 2020 Kyler Murray, right? Because he's not a polished passer, as we're seeing. 3.6 yards per pass attempt. Polished passers don't do that, ever, no matter what, right? And he's only been sacked twice, so it's not like, he's under a crazy amount of pressure. I can look at his pressures if you want real quick. Let's see, 18.2%. It's a little high, but it's nothing, it's nothing insane, especially for 84 pass attempts. He's not really being supported with a great running game. It's like they thought we're just going to air it out with Trevor and just like he's going to be a high-level guy right away. Josh Allen is struggling with that because it's not easy. You know what I mean? You need a running game. Every quarterback does, but especially a rookie. And if you're not going to give him running back carries,
I just think
let him run.
Yeah. It's a learning curve with him and Urban Meyer. Like,
oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
college coach.
It's a completely different game.
Mm-hmm.
We've said this, I don't know how many times in this one podcast, but
yeah.
I mean, it's just a completely different game. The way you play, the way you coach. I mean, like the way that Urban Meyer probably treats like the younger guys, like they're probably still in college, but the vets, they don't put up with that shit, you know?
I just thought about something. Urban Meyer, and the way he kind of like is always in freak out mode, combined with a rookie quarterback in the NFL is probably not the best, like yin and yang, you know?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, long term, I think Trevor Lawrence is going to get together. Obviously, he was incredible in college, and yes, he is he's hyped, you know, as
But it's crazy. No
greatest
one's
since
saying a word about him. Like, it's
like,
I
mean,
if it doesn't go,
I think everyone's just trying to give him the benefit of the doubt right now.
It's crazy how they pick and choose when they want to give the benefit of the doubt, though.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah.
Like, Drew Lock was a bust after his 6th start.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To the fans.
It's just, you know, his hype coming into it. It's like, oh, yeah, because if he were lighting it up right now, everyone would be on his.
It's all we would hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all we would hear. So, he plays this week the Cardinals. So,
good luck.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Broncos real quick because I said today, I think I feel like they're like the AFC version of the Panthers. You know, a very good defense, maybe a great defense.
Good game manager and Teddy Two Gloves.
Yep, and he's got weapons, young weapons all over the place in terms of Cortland Sutton. I know Jerry Jeudy's hurt right now, but you still have him, and he'll be back this year. You've got Tim Patrick. Who's the other? KJ Hamler.
Noah Fant.
You know, and then you've got Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon at the running back spot. You've got a pretty good offensive line there in Denver. I mean, I think that what they're working with is pretty serviceable, right? Like it's good on offense. And then, of course, like I said, a very good, maybe a great defense. Because last year, that defense...
Yeah, apparently, coming into the season, they have one of the best, on paper, defenses.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because last year, they didn't have a bunch of talent, and they were still really, really good.
Yeah.
You know, so they just added a bunch of talent. Patrick Surtain, by the way, looks much better than I expected him to look. He looks really good. Like, he looks way more athletic than what he looked on tape in college. I don't know whether he looks a lot more explosive, but he's making plays on the ball like a veteran. And when you're making plays on the ball as a young
another Alabama
defensive
boy
back, if you're a rookie in particular, if you're making plays on the ball in week 1 and 2, that means to me that you are as pro-ready could be. You know, like the game is already moving slow as if he was a veteran, you know what I mean? Like if he's making plays on the football, because that's something you don't necessarily always see. Like Jalen Johnson did that last year in Chicago. He was making a bunch of plays early on the football. I think he fizzled out a little bit though down the stretch, but Surtain looks great. You've got, like I said, you got playmakers all over the place. That's going to be, they are built to give Kansas City a hell of a hard time. So we'll see. But yeah, Denver fans should feel every bit as
Justin
excited
Simmons,
as Carolina.
Kareem Jackson, Kyle Fuller. I mean, Bradley Chubb,
Surtain, Von Miller.
You
know, they've got Josie Jewell got hurt, but he's becoming one of the better linebackers in football. I had a first round grade. I had a late 1, early 2 on Josie Jewell. I had him in one of my mock drafts that year.
That was what, year 1 of the Fair Shake football.
Yeah.
And upbringing.
I had a team take Josie Jewell in the late first round in one of my mock drafts of like what I would do, and people just completely
did he get drafted by the Broncos?
Yeah, fourth round. But
for a second there, I thought he went to the Steelers for a second. Maybe you had him going to the Steelers in your mock draft.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't remember.
He is becoming a really good, like really, really good player. He's been a day one starter essentially there, and he had a very good year last year. He can do a little bit of everything. He's a great tackler. I think he was like one of the like he had one of the lowest missed tackle percentages, in last year or whatever. But he's solid. You got playmakers everywhere in Denver. You got them all over the offense. You got them all over the defense. If Teddy can keep playing this well, great. If not, then we're going to put my boy Drew Lock in there because I think it would be a very similar story at quarterback. But I think Lock just gives you a lot more upside. But
yeah,
in any way, Denver looks legit right now.
Lock can stretch the field a lot more than
Absolutely.
Teddy Two.
I mean, he's got to give it everything he has to throw 40, 50 yards down the field.
Yeah, but they're 2-0, so they're doing something right, I guess.
Denver fans should
Something's
be
brewing
very
up there,
excited.
Mile High.
They should be very excited because I think they actually won both of those games on the road as well, if I recall correctly. So, great start for Denver. And we got one more game to talk about. It's going to be the Zach Wilson.
Well, we got two.
Yeah.
Can't forget about Monday night.
Yeah, that was Monday night. And I don't see the
and Sunday night
Ravens game on here. Yeah. So, Ravens, Chiefs. But, yeah, man.
We didn't talk about Thursday night, but, I mean, we kind of know.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of talked about that a little bit. I mean, we can. Heineke played great. The Giants were right there. Dexter Lawrence wasn't offsides. Giants fans, don't worry. Everyone else in your division is only 1-1. You're one game behind them. There's also
Giants fans. Daniel Jones is
playing well. He's playing very well. He's been let down by a couple of missed opportunities here and there. But the point I'm making is, I'm
worried about Saquon.
18 1-1 teams.
I'm worried about Saquon.
Yeah, I'm terrified about Saquon right now.
But I'm sure you Giants fans are too.
But don't take that as me telling you to sell. I would not sell on Saquon. I'm holding him right now.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. He's going to, even if it's all bad, he's going to have at least one or two blow-up games because he's just too good not to. And when that happens, if you want out, that's when you take the out.
Is that explosiveness still there? Or
Yes.
is it just...
No, it is.
He's just
not
got a
all the way
mental block.
healthy yet, I think. No, because you saw it in that game against Washington. There was a play where he made, it was like, whoa. Like,
yeah.
It's still there. It's just...
I hope so. He's a great player.
Yeah, I think so too. But the Jets, Patriots, man, Zach Wilson, I'm a little bit worried about Zach Wilson. I know it's only been 2 games.
Yeah.
He got it together a little bit against the Panthers, which now we know the Panthers are probably a much better defense than we initially thought in week 1.
Mm-hmm.
But
for sure,
Zach Wilson looked so bad in this game against Patriots. And I know it's Belichick versus a rookie quarterback. I'm not saying
it's the New England defense is
right, and they're great.
They're well coached.
Yeah, but there were some things that were just unsolicited, awful mistake. It was like, what are you doing? The deep ball to Corey Davis, like, what the hell was that?
19-33 for 210 yards, 0 touchdowns, 4 interceptions.
Yeah. I mean, how many times was he sacked? At least 4, I think it was. I think it was 4. But
yeah,
I'm a little bit worried. I'm not going to sit here and say he's a bust or anything like that. Don't worry.
Right, it's too early for that. But yeah, we're worried about him.
But yeah, I'm a little bit concerned. And then in terms of Mac Jones,
I don't know. He just gives off those pretty boy vibes. He's just not tough enough. I don't know.
Maybe I don't know. I liked him coming out, so who knows? But Mac Jones on the other side of the ball here with the Patriots, I think Mac is basically going to look like this forever. He's going to have stat lines like 18 of 27, 186 yards. Yeah. 1 touchdown, 0 picks.
I think he's just he's a placeholder until Belichick can find his next Brady.
I think Belichick thinks that he is the next Brady in that.
I think he wants to think that because he just wants that credibility again. I
kind of think he does. But also, if you remember Brady's first 3-4 years, and he wasn't an elite player.
Right, you're right. But I don't know. I just feel like Belichick thinks that he can coach up Mac Jones and, like you said, in a few years, learning the playbook and growing as an NFL player, he can grow into something great. And it's to be determined, obviously. I mean, Mac Jones is a good player. He was in college for that one season that he played. But I don't know. To be seen. Obviously, it's Bill Belichick and his quarterback, and he is getting Mac Jones to watch film.
Yeah, and Mac's a smart guy, smart kiddo. But I just don't think he's ever going to be an elite player. I think that's kind of I would say his ceiling, and people are gonna hate this. I think his ceiling is Derek Carr, or maybe
I could see that 100%,
something like that.
Yeah.
But
I just don't think he's gonna be dominating the NFL in years to come.
Yeah, I just don't.
And that's why brings me back to my point about a placeholder. I just think he's just there right now. Maybe Bill Belichick can, kind of see what he has in Mac Jones. And then obviously if someone else comes along, then Bill Belichick's going to snatch him up if he has the opportunity to in future drafts. But like we said, we'll see.
I just think that Belichick thinks that with what Mac Jones is, he can win championships with that.
Yeah.
I don't think he thinks he's Patrick Mahomes. I just think that he thinks this will work.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And this, if people
if you put
right,
and if he puts a great defense around him too,
which what they do have, I think that's borderline great. We'll see. I think it'll be a great defense by the time the season ends. So, but yeah, man, if I'm a Jets fan, I'm just gonna keep staying the course with Zach Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can't give up on him yet.
But how strange!
It's just been tough
Jets,
years for the Jets.
Would it be for Jets fans to watch Sam Darnold become like an MVP caliber player in Carolina, and then Zach to just be a bust? That'd be so gross.
It's just been tough years for the Jets, man. Just tough.
So, anyways, the Ravens Chiefs, yeah,
Ravens Chiefs, great game,
Lamar
excellent game.
Is a freaking warrior, man. Lamar Jackson is an absolute warrior.
He's gotten better every year. I think he's gonna take that next step this year.
I mean, he's already won the MVP, so he's
right.
Like,
but I mean, I think, he obviously with that 4th and 1, go for it, win the game. I think they just have so much more trust in him.
But they've kind of had that kind of relationship. They just have such a good chemistry. Him and his coach, man. They're like, they have great chemistry in terms of managing the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Lamar, you want to go for it? He didn't ask.
And we can't forget, Lamar was supposed to be the number 1 pick overall if he had come out that 1 year out of Louisville.
Was he really?
Yes. He was hyped up to be the number 1 pick.
Super hyped, but
and then he had it down. I don't know if it was his junior year or senior year. I don't even remember what year it was that he was super hyped up, and they're like, "Oh, this guy's."
Right. I think he was more hyped the year before he ended up coming out. But man, the Ravens should feel really freaking good about their team because obviously you got the Marcus Peters out, right? You've got your running backs out, but I think that this tells us more about the fact that the Ravens are not. Ronnie Stanley was out too. They're not as out of it as some of us kind of put them to be, right? I saw even a lot of Ravens fans.
16 rushes.
A lot, yeah, that's fine. He doesn't take the big hits, so if he can keep doing that, cross your fingers, he'll be okay. And that's why I had him as my QB1 in fantasy. I don't care. Like, he, in my opinion, this year, Lamar is going to be a guy that is better as a passer, at least from the statistical side of it, right? Because I think they have the best skill players they've had, and I think that he's going to run for 80 to 120 yards a game. It's just what he's going to do, right? So, like, you're getting 8 to 12 extra points, and that's not even counting a touchdown. You might get 18 points from him as a runner.
Yeah.
Often. Like, you might get 12 every game, basically.
And the moves he was making, it's just...
Yeah, he's a bad man, and the Chiefs had no answer for that run game at all. I mean, Devontae Freeman looked like the prime Devontae Freeman a couple times, and Lamar was good, man. Lamar was competitive. Lamar is such a
Devontae Freeman averaged 14.5 yards a carry.
Yeah, he had
like 2 carries,
but I just think that the Ravens are, I think they're a definite playoff caliber team. I don't know if they're exactly a Super Bowl contender, but I don't put it past them, the Ravens.
I mean, any given Sunday.
Yeah.
Any fucking given Sunday.
Yeah, they definitely, I mean,
like that could have been the AFC Championship. Like that could be the AFC Championship, and it come down to fucking 4th and 1, and Lamar Jackson
they do the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Chiefs now, let me throw something at you from the Chiefs side of it. Cleveland outplayed them for 90% of that game or whatever, 80, 90% of that game in week 1.
Mm-hmm.
They steal it at the end. Then they go in. They're beating Baltimore, but then Baltimore beats. They could be 0-2 right now. It's very like that could have happened, you know? And I think did the Browns score on like every possession except for the last one? I think there was somebody saying that, or they damn near that. But the point I'm making is how crazy would it be if like the Broncos and Raiders are 2-0 and the Chiefs were 0-2? That would have been nuts. And that was something
wild.
That's why the NFL is so crazy. And not to say that would have been the Chiefs would have probably still won the division.
Right, they're in a tough division.
That's a division that the Chiefs tend to like play down to their opponents sometimes. Not that the Ravens are someone you play down to, but just generally speaking, they kind of, you know, they like to, what's that expression, like look at their eat their food slowly or whatever that thing. Anyways, they tend to play down to their opponents. If they do that and drop a couple extra games this year, they might not win the division, you know, especially if they do that shit against the Chargers or the Broncos, because those are the two that I think are real threats to them. The Raiders are as well, but I just think that the Mahomes and that offense in Kansas City are going to be able to do whatever they want to that Raiders defense, and that might ultimately be the Raiders' Achilles heel.
Speaking of the Chargers,
I think the Chargers, man,
they got the Chargers this week in KC.
Oh wow,
yeah.
Oh wow. Now we get to see Herbert and Mahomes, where Herbert's not a deer in headlights rookie, and yeah,
should be a good game.
Herbert's going to throw for 300 plus yards again. I just like he's that dude, man. There's no, in my opinion, there will be no sophomore slump for Justin Herbert because he is polished, and he was polished coming out. That was like the rightest I've ever been about a player, and I think I was still low on Herbert. I was technically
Baker's up there.
I was running Baker too, but I just think that there's no real weakness in his game. You know what I mean? I really do. So I can't wait to see that one next week. But that's actually huge because the Chargers are 1-1 now because they lost in devastating fashion to the Cowboys, right? But the Chiefs are also, I mean,
But go Cowboys.
He's a Cowboy fan. But you know, if they go 1-2 with a loss to KC, that puts you in a much bigger hole than just like, oh, we're only a game out. No, now you're basically 2 games out because they already beat you once. So for just being week 3, it's a big game. You know, I think that's going to be
huge
a fun
game.
one. But, you know,
division game,
yeah,
week 3 early in the season, they're ready to rock. It's a noon game. I got to work on Sunday, unfortunately, but I'll be watching that game.
That's tough. I would just quit my job if I had to work on Sunday.
Well, it is what it is.
At least during football season, you know.
I have a week vacation next week, so I'm not complaining.
Yeah, no, it is what it is. But you'll be watching every game on your phone,
and it ain't what it ain't.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I have the Sunday ticket. I've had the Sunday ticket for years on end now. And,
you have to.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a dedicated football fan and you don't have the Sunday ticket, what are you doing?
Right.
What are you doing? And if you don't have the Sunday ticket and you're not going somewhere to watch all the games, then get the fuck out. Football's
like watching whatever the local games are.
Yeah, I mean, you know, some people don't. Obviously, some people don't have the opportunity to do all that. And there's probably this diehards out there that would rather just sit on their couch and watch their team. And
I have no shame. I'll go to a restaurant and not even order anything. I don't just be like, look,
I'm here. I'm here to watch the games.
Yeah, it's just like I don't care. I'm watching.
Yeah, you want me to get a water? Great, I'll get it. But I mean, football's like I was telling a buddy of mine the other day. It's just the greatest sport known to man, in my opinion. You could bring up football, aka soccer. It's been around longer and it's more of a globalized game. Right. But football, when it comes down to just the knit and grit of it and the competitiveness of it, and
it's such a team game. Too.
Yes, it really is.
Makes it so great. It's like, if one guy doesn't do his job, like Dave Gettleman would say on defense, one guy doesn't do his job, the referee's doing this.
I mean,
it's really what it is, you know.
It's just, and it's evolved. It's evolved so much in the last 5 years, even a couple years. Like
it's true.
It's just a fun ass game
Mahomes
to watch.
is like the Steph Curry of the NFL,
and it's like you got the NBA who they play like 80 something games. You got the MLB, they're out there playing fucking 2,000 games a season.
Yeah, right.
But with football, obviously we get an extra game this year, but you get that whole week to hype the games up. And I don't know, it's just like even going to the games, like when we went to Seattle.
Oh, that was awesome.
In 2014 when
Great
they played
stadium.
when they
If you're
played
a Seahawks fan, that shit is awesome.
They played the 49ers.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was when that was the rivalry, the 49ers Seahawks.
Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so loud, and we set up in the nosebleeds with all the diehards season ticket holders, man, and it was such a fucking blast. And it's like that's what brings you back for more, like going to games like that, experiencing the stadiums like that, the ones that just get fucking crazy. Like I want to go to a KC game. I hear it's fucking nuts there too. Like
they're loud.
Yes.
Seattle.
And it's like it was so loud at one point in that game that we couldn't even hear each other talking, and we were sitting right next to each other. Like it was fucking awesome.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah, like back to my point. Like I mean, football. I'm so glad it's back. And
that's why coaching is so important too, because it's the ultimate team game, and you got to have everybody doing their job. So the better the coach, the more likely everybody's doing. Like New England, people don't blow assignments.
Yeah. I mean, they're just so well coached, and it's like you can tell a good team from a bad team, and it comes down to coaching.
A lot of times, yeah, especially in the NFL, like it just, it just matters. Speaking of coaching, when are the Giants going to fire Jason Garrett, dude? I don't like saying stuff like that typically, but man,
yeah, he got no creativity whatsoever. I'm shocked that the Cowboys hung on to him for as long as they did.
That was wild. It was
and then the whole thing before last year, it was like, are we going to keep Jason Garrett or are we going to fire him? Like it was like a thing. They waited until like the last fucking
every year.
It was
that,
and it was like, why?
And Jerry every time was like, we're keeping him.
It's like, Jason Garrett, he was part of those teams.
Yeah, he
Troy Aikman, and then they've obviously had a relationship for since the early 90s
years, yeah,
but like
years.
Fuck,
yeah,
like
get
him out. Like zero fucking creativity in his play calling, and obviously it still shows here in the Giants.
Okay, we got one last game to talk about. It was last night's game, right? The Packers and Lions. So
yeah, going into that game after obviously week one, you're like, fuck, like the Packers look terrible, and it's like the last dance, and Rodgers just they didn't get it. They like they were talking about last night on Monday Night Football is. They didn't get a lot of plays in the first half, and they couldn't get in a rhythm, and then they just didn't look like the pack that we know, and so it was like, what's gonna happen tonight, But obviously, back in fucking Lambeau, like I mean, they just put on a clinic. Obviously, the Lions went down and scored.
The Lions looked good in the first half. They were winning at halftime.
Yeah.
17-14.
Yeah, they did. They looked good, but then it's like, fuck, this is Jared Goff. Like, what is going on here? And
Jared Goff's all right, man. You guys are too hard on him. There are so many people that are just too hard on Jared Goff. I think he's a good quarterback.
I mean, once Sean McVay wrote him off, I think everyone else did.
Yeah, and I don't like that. That's why I made that post today. I don't think.
Well, it was
you don't
it.
have to hate Jared Goff. You don't have to think Jared Goff is trash to be able to say Sean McVay is brilliant. Stafford is going to go from a inconsistent elite talent to hopefully maybe for Rams fans an elite player with a great coach. So Sean McVay is appreciated in my book, but Jared Goff is a good quarterback.
Yeah, he's not a great quarterback.
No,
he's a good quarterback.
That's why you trade everything they traded for Stafford,
right.
Because he can do things Jared Goff can't do. So,
but yes, back to the game, like great game.
Yeah,
obviously they ended up blowing them out.
super disappointed in DeAndre Swift, man. I thought he had like 1 or 2 targets in the whole game. I couldn't believe that.
Yeah, he salvaged his fantasy towards the end a little bit.
Not enough for me.
Garbage time. Yeah, well, for some people.
I lost because I needed like, I don't know. I needed at least like 12, 13 points.
I just know Augie was sweating his fucking nuts off at the end of the game because he needed like two or 3 points out of. No, this is in Augie's league. But he needed like 2 or 3 points out of DeAndre Swift, and of course, he gets that one catch for like 30 yards at the end of the game, and Augie's like, so happy he won the game. But
yeah, man, Packers bounce back, and that's the thing. Week 1 games especially magnify. Do not
Aaron Jones
shit happen. Aaron Jones had 4 touchdowns. That was crazy.
Oh my God.
But the Packers are the same Packers that we saw last year. People were literally
saying... They are who we thought they were.
People were saying that Aaron Rodgers is purposely losing. It's like, stop. He's not going to sit there and be on the field and let every one of his teammates down intentionally. He would have to be such a fucking asshole to do that.
That would just be the epitome of arrogant.
Right. That would be like, you are... Like, they would have all hated his fucking guts. Like, every single player and coach would have been like, you are the worst human being alive.
If he did that, if he honestly did that, they would have fucking benched him for Jordan Love.
Yeah, and they would have... not only would he not do that because he loves his teammates, I'm assuming, but he also wouldn't do that because... Not only if you you're costing men jobs that they may never get back if you do that. You know what I mean? So it's just not you can't. He would never do that, and he didn't do that. And that's what was evidenced last night. He went crazy.
It's Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
like we're talking about here.
He's a competitor. He wants to win.
One of the greatest competitors.
Things ever. They want to go win it all, and then say, all right, now we're out of here, Green Bay. And that's cool. Let them do what they do. But
I think it's cool though that this year like Matt LaFleur has just like given him the just the reins. Like he's like, here, like I want to run the fucking plays that I want to run, and Matt's like, okay, whatever it takes, brother.
Yeah,
I
like Matt LaFleur though. I didn't like that hire at all. I was kind of like a big McCarthy fan, and I still am. But LaFleur's done a great job.
Yeah,
really. I mean, what is he? 13-3 both of his first 2 seasons. So he's 20.
Curious to see what happens next year when Aaron's gone, but.
They need Zadarius Smith back for sure. But yeah, let's talk about the Lions for a second because I think that it's important to note that they compete. Under this Dan Campbell guy, they compete their freaking asses off. Obi Melifonwu, who I had a first-round grade on, or late 1, early 2 at least, was covering Devontae Adams on that deep ball that Adams caught, covering him one-on-one, running stride for stride. I think he pulled his hamstring or something.
Incredible catch.
Yeah, it was an
incredible throw.
There's nothing that you can do about that throw and catch, right? But Melifonwu is the starter in Detroit. Maybe that's with Okudah out, but in any event, I think that he's a guy that they definitely trust. I hope he's not.
Well, is he a bust?
Long term. Who?
Okudah.
No, you can't call him a bust yet, but he got beat up on last year, and now he's injured. So
he got beat up on last night, too, before he got injured.
No, he got injured in week 1.
Oh, was that week 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was, you might be thinking of Melifonwu, but he...
That's right. Yeah, you're right.
But Melifonwu was...
But even in week 1, I'm pretty sure that before he got hurt, he was in a screaming match with his cornerbacks coach.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, it's tough, man, because, again, some guys are great college players and not great NFL players.
And obviously, he went, third or fourth overall, right?
Yeah, second or third.
So it's like, I mean,
Yeah, and
they risked a lot.
Was my guy, but C.J. Henderson's been having his own issues or whatever. I think it's been mainly just kind of like he's dinged up, he's not healthy, this, that, and the other. But if you're a Lions fan, what I was going to say is be excited about the fact that your team's actually competing hard, and they don't have a ton of talent on defense, but they were pretty good at times last night. Like they showed a few moments where they were like, they're well. I think what I'm trying to say is, you may be last year's Panthers. Who knows? Maybe 1 year from now, you'll see that Melifonwu was a stud, and you'll see that the guys you drafted. I mean, you have a good offensive line. You have there are foundational pieces laid out. Good offensive line, Penei Sewell, some young players on defense. And there are some good pieces laid out that, in the next 2 or 3 years, you could be a playoff team. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Jared Goff might just be good enough for that coaching staff because I guarantee you, as Cam Newton would say, there ain't 32 guys better than him. There just aren't. But, so I think Lions fans should be excited. Packers fans should feel relieved. Okay, we are still a very good team. We're probably going to win another 12 or 13 games, 14 games, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And they need to get better defensively, though, which they did in the second half of that game. So that was nice to see. But yeah.
Well,
you got anything else?
No, I think I'm pretty much podcasted out. But I mean, it's great to be on here. Obviously, like this is my first go at podcasting, and
did much better than my first go.
We went 2.5 hours. So
did we?
Yeah,
a long time.
I just want to say, the reason why I came on here is obviously like I was, at the forefront of Fair Shake Football with Evan when he first started it, and I've always kind of believed in, the product and believed in the brand and believed in the fans, you guys. So I figured I would give Evan a bigger and better platform to kind of take it to the next level. And Evan's done a lot for me in years past, so I figured why not, pay him back some of that.
So I'm pumped. I mean, this is awesome. It's a nice setup, and we're probably going to keep adding more stuff to it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is bare bones to what it's going to look like. We just wanted to get the bare bones so we could get started. Start putting content out there, but big things to come. We're going to start fielding questions from you guys. So if you have any questions at all, be sure to hit up Evan in his stories or his DMs, and we will field some questions in podcasts to come.
Probably at least 1 or 2 Q&As.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if you want to do the start sits with me, we can do those too. Just like
absolutely
just like this and
whatever you guys anything you guys have questions on, like anything, obviously, just
like why is he a Cowboy fan would be one.
Yeah, well, we are here in the heart of DF Dub. So I mean, I was born, in Dallas off of Greenville Avenue, and so it's kind of in my blood. Growing up watching the Cowboys win all those Super Bowls. Yeah, it's been fucking 30 years, but it's yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see where this podcast goes. It's actually fucking cool as shit. Like, I thought I was gonna be like a little rusty and didn't know what to do, but I mean,
it's just like talking.
Yeah, we're just kind of just bullshitting, going over a game that we love and we watch and we know a lot about. So it's just another way to connect with the fans and you guys, and we appreciate it. And we'll be back.
We will be back. Yep.
All right. Well, we will see you guys later.
Peace.